everybody. Tonight we will go deep into the realm of the unknown and question everything as we search for the truth. We will explore the possibility of countless phenomena within the ultra spectrum, and together we will learn that it is all connected. This podcast is brought to you by the Experiencers Support Association, and it is a live stream broadcast. If you have a question, send me a super chat or become a YouTube member. This podcast is brought to you by the Experiencers Support Association. Take a seat, relax, get ready, and welcome to Beyond the Tinfoil Hat.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Beyond the Tinfoil Hat. Today is Thursday, June 2nd, 2022, and I, Ryan Stacey, am your host this evening. I'm a licensed private investigator, citizen journalist, and the Director of Investigations for the Experiencers Support Association. I'm the former National Chief Investigator for MUFON Canada and the former International Field Investigator Trainer for MUFON in general. Welcome to the channel, and thank you for joining us this evening. To super chat, click the $sign next to your name in the comment box. Tonight's theme is, and I'm happy for this theme, is paranormal investigations and spirit communication. Why am I happy for this theme? Because ufology makes me angry and consciousness is confusing sometimes. So it's nice to have a little bit of paranormal. Cece, you're losing it back there. Awesome. So our guest for season 4, episode 18 is Sara Sophia. Sara Sophia is from Orillia, Ontario, Canada. She is a spiritual medium and paranormal investigator. She has been connecting with spirits since she was a child, but never opened it up about her experiences until later in life. She has been connecting with spirits since she was a child, but never. Yeah, sorry, I said that. Sara can sense and feel spirit. Sometimes she can hear spirit. It was very emotional and tough when she opened her gifts more, as she was trying to push it away because of an underlying fear. Within her paranormal investigation, she likes to investigate different types of cemeteries as well as haunted locations. Sara recently did a paranormal investigation at the Orillia Opera House, which we'll talk about today. She used to perform at this location as a child and therefore found this investigation to be personally fascinating. During her investigations, she typically utilizes equipment such as a spirit box, her dowsing rods, and other sensor detectors. The way she connects with spirit comes with a lot of love, respect, and validation. Sara treats spirit the way she would treat a human being. The paranormal has been a huge part of her story for a very long time. Not only does she connect with spirit, but she also connects with her spirit guides and her angels. Sara is a very spiritual person to begin with, and she hopes to help others to find healing and to comfort to the best of her ability. You can find our guest on Facebook and TikTok. There are links in the description below. So Sara, put on your tinfoil hat. How are you? We're about to go down a rabbit hole. How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. How was that? See, you're there. You're here.
Yes, I'm here.
Nothing to worry about. All right, Cece, you're still losing it. Funny over there. Okay, so we're going to start with the icebreaker question, which is provided by Cece as well. So let me just play her little jingle here. Where is that? 1 second. All right, so our icebreaker question to kick off the night is, what is the most destructive myth you've encountered in the paranormal field? Ooh.
That is actually a really good one. See, I'm not too sure yet. I'm up and down with the whole, I don't know if UFO has anything to do with the paranormal, which I'm sure it does, but I'm learning a lot about it. And I think that's one of my big conversations that I want to see if it's real or not, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. So have you ever had a UFO encounter at all?
No.
Okay.
So I recently just started doing research on the UFO, and Netflix has some awesome documentaries. So I've been doing some research on that and seeing, because we don't get a whole lot of encounters here in Canada. So it makes me question it a little bit, and I want to start understanding it more and learning more about it. It's definitely fascinating.
To piggyback off of that, what is a UFO described by you? What do you consider a UFO to be? What does it look like? What do you imagine it to be?
I imagine a flying saucer with lights.
Okay, so a machine, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so would you not consider a light in the sky like a paranormal orb?
100%.
Would that be like an unidentified flying object, if you will?
Yeah, absolutely. That's another thing I have actually thought of, like seeing flying stars or different types of lights. It does make me question it because it's something I do want to learn more about, but I haven't understood it enough yet because.
Well, welcome to Tessa. You're going to learn a lot about. You're going to learn a lot about that.
Yeah, so it's just something I've never understood or studied yet, but I'm very interested in it right now, and I think that's when it comes to paranormal and something I feel I need to learn and see a little bit more about to understand it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. So the word paranormal simply means not normal. So
exactly.
By definition, UFO is included in that. So it's all in the mix of that. Okay,
yes.
Good. All right. So I was actually going to say the paranormal orb. So that orb phenomenon is something that I have a hard time with, understanding whether that's dust particles or spirit or UFO, or paranormal. So I'm kind of with you on that. Good question, CC. Thank you. All right. So the first question that I ask all our guests is, why are you the way that you are? And what I mean by that is, walk me through your life as early as you want to go to tell me how you fell into this and got here today. And then we'll see where that conversation goes.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was a child, probably the age of 2, 3, I have a really super awesome memory. Like I can remember a lot. And we lived in a very, very old home. And as a young child, it's hard to describe to a parent what you're seeing. So I was seeing, and I know this sounds super silly, but it was like a black shadow figure that was entering into my home. And I still have the image of it. And it was scary for me. I was very scared of the dark. It was very different because I haven't seen anything like that since. So that's probably the most spookiest thing I can encounter as a child. My parents took me for a drive probably a couple months after that, and we were driving past a cemetery, and it was actually recent. My mom told me this. She's like, you barely could even speak at the time. She goes, we're driving past a cemetery, and the first thing you do is you look out the window and go, angels, look at the angels. She's like, you were talking about all these angels and you had no idea that there were even angels or that was even a cemetery. So you kind of freaked me and your dad out at the time because you were too young to understand that. So she's like, you kind of like, as a child, develop these different things that you were saying, that you were seeing and hearing and experiencing, but they couldn't understand it because paranormal to them, it was new. Mm-hmm. So as I got older, we ended up moving into another home, and it was about 105 years old, and I was experiencing a lot of different feelings. So I was sensing spirit, but I didn't even know it was spirit at the time. That's nothing I even thought about. And there were times that I was seeing things from the corner of my eye, but it wasn't black shadow like, it actually looked like a person. So I was describing this to my family, the things that I was seeing. And then later on, things were progressing, and my aunt, she's a psychic medium, so she came in and said, I know exactly what she's saying because I saw the same thing. So that was really interesting. And so I went through a lot of that living in this house of different feelings and seeings. And my dad started picking up and seeing these things as well and feeling them. So I think when I started to realize that there was something up, it was middle school. I realized that I was an empath. I was sensing people's emotions and feelings. And again, didn't think of spirit, had no idea. And I had a hard time making friends. And I went through a lot of mental health because of the things that was going on around me, because how do you tell your friends when they don't understand? So I was kind of a closed book and very shy, and I wasn't really open to discussing the things I was feeling. So later on in high school, again, same thing. I'm sensing and feeling some weird emotions and energies. Sitting in a class, I could feel that somebody was upset. I could feel the energy of somebody who was angry. So I was having a hard time focusing. I really couldn't focus. And then I started kind of learning more about the paranormal. So a friend of mine, who is still a very good friend of mine today, I started to explain these things to her and say, like, listen, I think I'm seeing something and I don't know what it is, but I think I'm kind of going crazy. So then we kind of started talking about the paranormal a little bit, and it sort of started to make sense. So after that, a little later on, I kind of just ignored it because I was scared of it. Like, of course, anybody would at that age. I ended up having my first child, and then things really started to heighten. My child was feeling and seeing spirits. So, like, you know, when a baby is giggling in a crib and like they're tossing and turning, like if you go down to like play with them or something, I was seeing my child kind of moving around, looking up at something. And I remember looking at my mom going, look at William right now. Like, he's giggling at something, something's happening. And she's like, that's a little weird. So we suspected, I probably should have brought this up before that it was a friend of mine. So I had a friend pass away when I was 17. He was 19 to a drowning.
Okay.
And we were very, very close. And a lot of paranormal stuff started happening after his passing. So that's when I was like, okay, there's something strange going on. So back to the old house. Sorry, I'm kind of flip-flopping.
It's okay. I'm just making notes as we go, because I will follow up with this too.
Yeah, no worries. So I was at my mom's. It was a few days after his passing. So he was in the in-between, and my dad was home. And again, my dad bonded with him very, very well. So he was able to kind of relate. So he ended up calling me that night, and I was very emotional. And he said, something weird is going on in the house. I don't know what it is. And my dad was total skeptic, like, of anything being paranormal at this time. Because this is the first time my dad's seen an orb with his own eye. He's like, there is this faded blue light going nuts around the house. He goes, I just turned off all the lights in the house and locked all the doors. And he didn't even know it was an orb. He's like, this light is just going nuts. And I said, Dad, that's super weird you say that, because I just seen it here at Mom's. Like, you need to describe what happened about all of this. He goes, well, I took a walk down the hallway and it's going all the way up the stairs. So I'm following it. And he's like, it was going nuts, like in your room. He goes, I had no idea what it was. So I figured it was your friend. And I called out to him and said, hey, she's at her mom's if that's you. And he said, by the time I got downstairs, I got stuck between a doorway, and he's like, I was like frozen. Like I couldn't move, like something was holding me down, and I couldn't really breathe. I was like, something's up. Like he started to panic. So again, that happened later on at night. When he ended up going to bed, he said it felt like something was on top of me. And again, he wasn't asleep. So we ended up talking about this blue light that we were seeing. And we ended up doing some research, and the research said it was an orb. So we said, you know what, that makes a lot of sense. So the following day, being at my mom's, kind of talking to her about it, you remember the old house phones, obviously. Like we didn't have cell phones at this time, I don't think. It started going weird. It was like, this number cannot be connected. This number cannot be connected. And it just kept going and going and going. And my mom's like, I think he's trying to connect with us. And I said, okay, let's just see if this works. And so I said, like, if you're here, can you turn off the fan that's over here in the room? Instantly turned off. So I'm like, okay, can you turn it back on? So it turned back on. And by that time, me and my mom booked it, because we're like, that's kind of freaking us out. And then the phone was acting weird again. So I started to kind of learn more about the paranormal after that, realizing that my friend was in the in-between and he was trying to reach me. So about 2 or 3 days later, I'm at my friend's, and she was really close to him as well. So we were able to comfort each other. And I fell asleep, and all I remember is waking up out of this sleep, but I'm feeling I guess I would say my soul or my spirit kind of lifting up. And then I'm seeing him. And it's like white light, like the brightest light I have ever seen. And I had no idea what the white light was about at that time as well. And I was able to see him, and he was able to apologize for what had happened and said, this was an accident. It was not my time. So he ended up drowning to protect a friend who was drowning. So he saved his best friend's life. And it was at the Black River, and it was an undertow that took him.
Wow.
So he said it was accidental. Later on, I was able to talk to my aunt, and she's like, you know, what he's showing me is he hit his head, and that's why he couldn't come up. So it took probably a good 8 hours to find him. And so after seeing him, I just remember jolting, and I felt it's like a smack into the body, and then I flew off the bed, and then I called my mom, and I'm like, I don't know what just happened, but I think I just left my body. So that never happened again. I don't know if that's what happened. That's what I assume that happened. But it was an amazing experience at the time. And I was able to find some comfort in that, which was nice. Do you want me to keep going, or?
Of course. If you have, yeah.
All right. I just want to make sure we have time with everything I'm talking about.
Yeah, we're all good. Don't worry. I'm writing down my thoughts, and then if there's time, I'll ask questions. If not, then.
And don't mind me if I look hesitant, everyone, because I don't talk about this stuff all the time, so I'm trying to refresh it in my memory. So I ended up moving into a threeplex with my partner and our first son. And we were having some encounters, some paranormal encounters, and we weren't the only ones that were going through it. So I was feeling the end of my bed being pressed down, and it was like, why are my feet being pressed down in the bed? Like I'm frozen shut there, like scared, feeling spirit, I guess you would say. And my son's toys would end up being scattered across the floor. So there was one night in this threeplex at the time, we were in the basement. So it was small. The bathroom was in the bedroom. And we had to make do, of course. So my son had this Mickey Mouse Clubhouse toy. So that was like the thing 11 years ago. And I cleaned everything up, put everything aside, and we got woken up through the night with this toy being played with. So a bunch of music going off. There was an elevator thing, so it was super loud. And I woke up and I flicked on the lights and I looked at my partner and I'm like, do you hear that? He goes, yeah, that's actually kind of weird. So all the toys ended up being scattered all over the floor. And I was like freaked right out because I'm like, what in the actual hell is going on? Because I just cleaned those up. So we had a lot of paranormal encounters there where dishes were being moved and toys were being scattered. Again, the end of the bed was
This is a different location than that old house?
Yeah, so that was my childhood home. This is when I first started kind of moving out on my own.
Okay.
So yeah, I was having some issues with that, so that kind of spooked me out. And I had some family members that came in that would sleep over and started feeling some weird encounters as well, and other people that were living in the building. So we'd all get together and kind of talk about it and be like, you know, this is kind of weird. What's going on? And so that was great. So how my spirituality and my paranormal stuff kind of began was there. It started probably the last 3 months before I ended up moving from there. I started hearing voices. So I literally thought I was crazy and wouldn't tell anybody because I'm like, I think I'm going nuts now. And I'm sure some of you have probably had the same experience where you felt you heard your name being called. So I get woken up, or before I fall asleep or doing the dishes, I would hear Sarah, like in a child's voice, and a woman's voice, and a male's voice. And I can literally replay the voice in my head for a good 5 minutes to try to figure out who that was. And sometimes I would hear, one time I heard my mother-in-law's voice, and it was like yelling at me, and she wasn't even there. And I got up and I'm like, what's going on? So that started to happen a lot, where I was hearing the voices, and I thought I was totally insane. So that was not fun when you're jumping 10 feet in the air. Yeah, so then when I moved into the place that I am now, I've been here for quite a while, I started feeling other things happen. I was still hearing the voices, but not as much, because I've learned to block it out and say, no, like, you're startling me. I ask that you please stop. That seemed to work. So I started seeing, and when I say seeing spirit, it's not like seeing a human or a black shadow. I started seeing like this weird mist kind of form, like it was in a human shape. And I'd start rubbing my eyes and being like, what is that, right? It was kind of clouded. So that's when I started purchasing my dowsing rods, because I was like, I want to see what the hell's going on, because why is this chasing me? And I kept saying, I don't want any part of it. Like, you're kind of spooking me out. So then I started to realize, okay, here we go again. Like, this isn't going to stop. And I kept saying no. So when I kind of realized that I was a medium was when I had a vision of my grandfather not doing very good. And then I started seeing my grandma not doing good. So I was kind of like, why am I seeing this? Like, I'm seeing it clear as day. And I looked at my partner and I started to cry. And I said, I'm having a vision. And it's like, it feels so real. So I explained what happened. A week later, my grandfather had a massive heart attack. And he was having multiple before that. And I was seeing this. So my partner, being a huge skeptic, not believing in mediums or the paranormal, was a little freaked out that I totally called that a week ago. So I was like, you know what? Like, okay, my grandfather just had a heart attack. I seen it. We were dealing with a lot of family stuff. So we had to go say our goodbyes to my grandfather. And I came home after doing that, and I was really, really ticked off. Like, I was like, okay, I am so ready now. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid anymore. Like, challenge me. Came in my room, I turned off the lights, and I prayed hard. And I prayed to my great-grandmother, my great-grandfather, my grandfather's parents. And I said, like, listen, there's something also wrong with my grandmother. I don't know what it is yet, but she needs him right now. I said she was there for everybody else. She needs him. And 60 years married, the love was like a king and queen. So I prayed and said, I need a sign. Ask God for one more chance. Do it for me, and I'll open my gift. I will take it on, whatever it takes. So the next day, my grandfather had to go into heart surgery. And they said, he's not going to make it out. There's no way. So that's why we had to say our goodbyes. And he was prepared. We get a phone call. He made it through. It's a miracle.
Wow.
He should not be alive right now. Yeah. So a week later, kind of waking up from the surgery coma, they bring him a roast beef sandwich. And he goes, oh my God, I haven't had one of these since my mom made it for me. And my dad goes, well, I have a prayer to tell you about. And he looked up and he said, thanks, Mom. I knew it was you. And I said, okay, I'm ready. Turns out a week later, we found out my grandmother had Lewy body dementia. So that is what, what's his name? Robin Williams. That's what Robin Williams had, the same thing. So she was losing her memory. And my grandfather was able to be there for her. He recovered very quickly from this heart surgery. And he was able to help her along because you only get about 6 years to live with Lewy body dementia. You don't have very long. So he was able to be there for his wife, even for her passing. And he's still here today, which is great. And after that, I just started practicing readings and channeling and opening up. And I don't call myself a psychic. I just call myself a spiritual medium, a practicing spiritual medium, because I'm still learning about my gift. I still do readings, and I only connect with spirit when spirit wants to connect with me. I can't just call spirit forward. I'm still learning about my spirituality that way. So then I opened up a Facebook page called Spiritual Growth on Facebook, and it has been doing super amazing. I'm so happy. We're teaching how to love yourself, self-love, mediumship, connecting with spirit, connecting with yourself, healing from trauma. And my aunt is an admin on that page as well. So she's been helping me out a lot with all of that and showing a bit of her abilities. And it's really done super well. I'm really happy with that. So what's that?
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So I started learning more about my spirit guides. Not sure if you're familiar with spirit guides, but they are with us from the time we're born to the time we die. They basically, it's like before we come to Earth, we have a blueprint that's mapped out of the life we chose and how we want to learn our lessons in this lifetime so we can fulfill our soul's purpose. I guess that's the best way I can say it. So I started connecting with my guides, and I talked to them, I prayed to them, and asked them for reinsurance and signs. So I'll get the signs like 1111, 444, 222, angel numbers. So a couple years ago, I was struggling with mental health, and I was going through quite a lot of things that I needed to see for myself in my life. Just, I'm a mom of 2 boys, and we struggle as moms and with work, and life's just not hard, or life is hard sometimes. So I was praying out that I needed a sign from my guides. I said, I need you to show me 100%. Like, I need to see it. Like, please show me that prayer is as powerful as it is. So a couple days later, I go into work, and we were cleaning this huge cottage. And as we finished up, we pull out of this driveway, and it was a long dirt road, and nobody was around. There was only one house on the road. It was way out in the boonies. And we come to a little stop, and this elderly man knocks on my window, and he says, can you roll down your window for a moment? And I said, yeah, okay. So I rolled down the window, and I said, can I help you, sir? He goes, yes. He goes, do you know what's behind my back? And I said, no, but I'm picturing like the number 100. He goes, how did you know that? I'm like, I don't know. I just kind of guessed. And he pulls out a piece of paper from behind his back, and it said in red pen, 100%. He goes, you asked for 100%, and you were asked to be shown. So I'm showing that you deserve to have 100%. And I was like, what the hell just happened, right?
And like, no connection with this person before that?
No, I've never seen him in my life.
That's strange. That's odd.
And my friend is sitting beside me, and she's very spiritual as well.
Yeah.
And she's like, what was that all about? And I said, Candace, I don't think you understand, like, as we're driving. And I explained my prayer, and I said, I wanted to be shown 100%. And that man, I don't even know him, just showed me on a piece of paper 100% and told me I was asked to be shown. I said, I don't know if that was my guide or if that was an angel, but I'm going to take it for the rest of my life and say that was the greatest sign I've ever experienced. Well, she just bawled, like cried the whole way home.
It's strange that he used the words 100%. Like, it's like he was told through whatever connection he had to say those things when he met you. So that is like a weird dual synchronicity there. Yeah,
because I didn't tell anybody about my prayer.
Yeah. And prayers are supposed to be sacred and private, right?
That's right. And as we learn through spirituality, if we're told, if you ask for something, sometimes you will be shown through signs. Just pay attention to the signs. And that was like probably one of the best stories I could ever tell somebody, because I just remember going home and calling my mom and explaining what had happened, and just so lost of words. So then I started to really believe that prayer is super powerful, and I need to start praying more, clearly. So that was just, that was incredible, life-changing.
So there's a lot of belief there. So I've been keeping notes along the way too, because your path is very, very familiar and very interesting and intriguing, in the sense, like, it started with the shadow figure, right? When we started with this whole, you're exploring UFO and you're trying to learn about all that. if you focus on the shadow figure and accept the possibility that that might be extraterrestrial, right? It's the same thing, right? This is just it's a label to interpret the same thing. This paranormal and UFO thing is just a category, but there's a lot of parallels, right? I'm seeing, like, I mean, you have the psychic ability that's going through. You have the ability for, well, there's poltergeist activity, which was usually before and after some traumatic events. So have you ever considered the possibility that there are no ghosts, and then perhaps your psychic ability was enhanced since you were going through the death of your friend there, and you had more emotions at that time? Perhaps this was you expelling, so there's those possibilities on that, other things too. Then you have this mediumship / manifestation, if you will. You pray for it, and then all of a sudden you're manifesting this stuff. But what's interesting about this whole timeline is, within my study and my research, I've been trying to index how this starts and why people are the way that they are. Because I believe it starts with UFO or extraterrestrial contact. Yep. So if the shadow figure wasn't actually paranormal but ET instead, that fits the timeline that you share with many other experiencers.
Right.
There's a lot of people in the chat that could resonate with this, and I'm just
and I'm still kind of learning about
right. So now
some stuff.
You believe. What I'm saying is, you believe a lot. So how did that get turned into investigations?
Okay,
because you have to not believe or debunk or be skeptic, because there's a lot of faith and a lot of belief your whole life. But how did you turn that around to be like, I don't believe some of this?
100%. So with the paranormal stuff, so I was doing really good with spiritual growth, and I thought, you know what, like, I love watching ghost hunters. I thought, I'm in kindred spirits and stuff like that. All that kind of stuff. And it makes me wonder, and, you think you want to debunk things as well. Like, when we go on our investigations, we always make sure that we are debunking things. We're going back to things. We're really studying it, which is huge in paranormal, which, should be done. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to make a paranormal page, because I've had some paranormal encounters with, the fan being turned on and off, with the phone kind of moving. And I was connecting with, I use my dowsing rods a lot, which I like. And it doesn't matter if it's spirit or not, if it's high, like higher, what's the word? It could be my subconscious, whatever, but I really enjoy them. So I thought, I'm going to take this to a next level, and I really want to do paranormal investigations and kind of see if I am connecting with spirit, because here I'm connecting with spirit, but I'm doing it in a whole angelic field, because I would rather do things in an angelic thing. And that's what I do with my paranormal investigations. I don't like to be called a ghost hunter. I've been called that. And I'm like, you know what? Like, I like to feel out energy. You can't destroy energy. Energy just is. We are all energy. And these places and cemeteries have lots of energy. So I decided to create a page, and thought, okay, what am I going to call it? First name that comes up, Keeping Up with Spirits. I'm like, yeah, you know what? We are trying to keep up with spirits, like, of course, I'm going to try that out. And then I started doing some research and on some tools on, I've recently just started becoming good friends with Anthony Sanchez. I don't know if you know him. He's a big paranormal investigator in California. He's also wrote books about UFOs and aliens, and he's good friends with Steve Huff, and I'm a fan of Steve Huff. So I thought, I really do want to connect with spirit, but not just through mediumship. I want to show people the proof and the science, because I'm all about science. I want to show them. So I created the page, and it's been doing super great. And I thought it's time to start doing some investigations and see what comes about it. So I guess my first big paranormal investigation was the Orillia Opera House. And that was honestly incredible. We ended up doing a draw on Keeping Up with Spirits with some members, and they were able to enter and win to come on the investigation. So it was great for them because the investigation of the Opera House hit home for them. So I ended up bringing my aunt to take half of the crew, and I took half of the crew. And we actually came with quite some interesting tools. We brought the the S box spirit box, which was great. And we brought these little tools right here. So literally you have to touch them. Like you can jump up and down on a ground and they cannot go off. So we put these on the tables out where all the chairs were.
You get those from Ghost Stop?
I got all my equipment.
Okay. Yeah. I know where you got that. That's good.
Yeah. But these I got from Amazon for like $10. I got 3. They're actually cat toy balls.
Okay.
And they work incredible. So we ended up laying them out on the table, and we had other censored motion detectors as well. So when you walk by it, they beep. So we were up on the stage and we would say, Spirit, can you light up the ball? Can you walk past the motion detector? And we got a lot of activity, and Spirit was yelling out on the spirit box, playing with the ball. Lights, I like it. So we were like, okay, we're getting somewhere here. So my aunt ended up taking a crew down to the basement just to do mediumship, but she also took my PSB-11. And for the life of me, I'm still trying to figure this one out. So, yeah, so this is a spirit box. Spirit can manipulate the audio frequencies.
Those are noisy things.
Yeah, and now they've just come out with something at Ghost Stop where you can plug into and it takes the fuzziness away, and then you can just hear the voices. So that's my next purchase. So she ended up taking it down to the basement of the Opera House, and there's an old jail cell down there that they used way back in the day. So they went down, and all of a sudden there was a different language coming through the spirit box, and there was a conversation. And she's a huge debunker. Like, she will tell you, like, no, it's probably radio. But she was like, there were definitely a conversation happening down here in the Opera House. And so the members that were with her could hear it, and they were like, yeah, you know what? That's kind of freaky. So my aunt ended up doing some mediumship and connecting, and she came across a woman, a lady in red, and was able to discuss more about her on what she was seeing. And when we were up on the stage, we had a male presence that was lingering with us. And I think he was an old janitor that I was sensing and feeling. And he was connecting with us quite well. So there were times even on the spirit box, we'd be like, can you make yourself known? And then Spirit would go, boo. And then we would start to laugh because he was trying to be comical with us. But if you guys want to see any more videos, you guys can check it out on TikTok and my Facebook account as well. Like, there's some videos that are up on there.
Yeah, and we do have those links in the description below for you guys on YouTube. Check that out there.
Yeah, so the Orillia Opera House was awesome. I found it to be great. Up in the project room, they were having some encounters up there, and it was pretty interesting. I think there's some videos.
What were you
of
guys
them.
what were you guys testing with this laser grid here in the what was that all about?
Okay, so this is it right here. This is the laser grid. So it's like that small, and it can literally do the whole.
The star array, right?
Yeah, so it detects shadows. We debunked the hell out of, because we had cameras everywhere through the Opera House. So we didn't get any shadows that were coming through, unfortunately, through this. But it was really cool to add to the investigation, I thought.
So when you said you debunked this, are there no ghosts in the Opera House? Like, is the whole house?
I feel there definitely is, because the trigger items were going off. So if we said, so basically you see like the little alleyway there.
Mm-hmm.
You can see like something on the side between the chairs. So there were trigger items there. So if you and I were to walk by them, they would beep.
Okay.
So nobody would be there, and we'd be like, can you walk by those? And they would instantly start going off. And the little cat balls as well were going off like crazy. So we thought that was pretty cool. Not that we don't know if there's ghosts in the Opera House, but we definitely felt there were a couple spirits that were present. And we did open the white light doorway if there was a spirit that felt stuck and wanted to go home. I think it was just such a really neat experience, because it's so historical, and it was just really neat to kind of wander around the Opera House. We do want to go back and do it again, and do it a little different, I think.
You should always, retest your stuff if you can, because especially when you're reviewing the video data.
Yeah, exactly.
We have a question from our member. CC says, when the cat balls went off, did the grid go off too?
The grid did not go off that we could see. All we know is when we said, can you touch the ball, it would instantly go off. If I have them here in my house and I set them around, they will not, for the life of me, go off whatsoever. So we thought that was cool. But we did look for shadows. At one point in the basement, we thought we seen kind of like a black shadow, but we kind of debunked it and felt there was somebody actually walking behind. So we were being very careful. But with this spirit box and the light up balls, I mean, we got quite a bit of validation.
It's hard. It's really hard to like cover every single angle to make sure like everything's covered. I can appreciate that, being an investigator myself, in terms of like, I always think, okay, what else could it be, or who else was that? Of course, it was a noise, it was a shadow, it was a wind drift, all these other things. Because you have to think about it, because these are all things that the skeptic person is going to use to tell us that it's garbage. And so you want to kind of come up with these plans and these strategies to rule out the debunkers, so that way we're kind of left with both saying, I don't know what it is. So having multiple cameras to cover all the angles, multiple sensors at the same time, that's really good strategy. That's really good technique. And if the sensors are going off, but were the sensors going off, and was there a shadow being cast at the same time in the grid, or were just the sensors going off?
See, that's what we were looking for. And we probably still have to do some more work on looking.
Did you have video though? Did you have cameras running?
Yeah, we did. We had one good camera there in the project room and throughout. We did kind of spot some movement in the projection room that we kept debunking to see why there's such a shift in movement. So we still want to kind of go back and kind of debunk some of that.
And everybody was accounted for, and behind you and all that stuff on the...
Yeah, so we'd be jumping up and down on the stage. We would be running across, making sure. And as a paranormal investigator and a medium, you have to be skeptic for things. Mm-hmm. Like, I still get skeptic of things all the time and have to re-question things.
It's tough because, like, you're using the right machines, you're doing the right scientific method in terms to determine that something is there.
Yeah.
So it's just could very well be a normal thing just as well as a paranormal thing, and then this is where belief kind of gets in the way. So it's very good that although you have this belief, you're not willing to just accept that as being the obvious until you get other layers that contribute to that.
Yeah.
So, and things like that too.
Like that night too, I was exhausted, so I had a hard time.
That's the energy drain, though, too, right? Feeling because you're absorbing.
Yeah, we went at nighttime, and I was on TikTok Live.
Okay.
And I was on Facebook Live, and then I had members. So I was so scatterbrained, and then here I'm yelling out, talking to spirits talking back. And then, we're saying, like, can you light this? Can you light that? And then going back, because, a lot of people would like to see the inside of the Opera House. So I was having all these lives, and I was so drained that I was like, I want to go back and do it differently. I would like to do an overnight and do kind of like the witching hour, maybe stay down in the cell. I would like to take it to a next level and set some cameras up. So that is definitely in the works. But we also this wasn't my investigation. So there was another paranormal investigator. His name's Troy. He came to the Opera House. So he ended up bringing some stuff along with me. And so he afterwards said, listen, I have an investigation at the Bracebridge Library. Do you want to come? Yeah, I do. So my aunt said, yeah, I'm going to come too. So we thought, let's go check it out. That place definitely gave us some vibes. Like, it was a whole different level from the Opera House. We actually had quite the interactions that came in. So there was a church. There's a church right next door to the library. And we ended up sitting down with two of the ladies that worked at the library. And they wanted to stay for the investigation. So we're like, sure. And they were very skeptic because they weren't sure what paranormal investigations were like. So we ended up sitting down and talking about the library and things that, were occurring and things that were happening. So throughout the night on the spirit box, we kept hearing, "You're Satan." And then we're like, okay, if you want to think that, that's okay. Like, we're not actually. We're here to help you if you want some help. So they kept calling us all these different names. And I kept saying, Spirit, what is your name? Can you give me some validation? And Adam kept coming through. Well, the ladies that worked there said, a medium that came through here a long time ago said that the spirit's name was Adam, that she was sensing. So I'm like, okay. So then I started to think, I went kind of kindred spirit style. I'm like, have we created a spirit now with the name Adam? Are we, you can do that. If you give spirit a title, they'll go along with it. So I was kind of debunking spirit a little bit. So we ended up doing, putting the headphones on where you can't hear anything but the spirit box itself. So we ended up pulling out the SB or the S box and the SB7 at one point, and came up with questions to ask spirit. And the person wearing the headphones can't hear anything but what's coming through the box. So we ended up getting told off multiple times, got called Satan again.
Did you have the cycle forwards or backwards?
I think it was forwards. I don't really know, but I would.
So well, the reason why I'm asking is because most time when it's going forward, if you're picking up radio frequencies from other radio stations, you will hear words because it's other frequencies, other stations talking normal. So if you put that backward setting on, it'll eliminate the possibility of you getting a true word. Some words sound the same backwards. It's still possible, but that'll kind of make it a little bit easier for you to be like, okay, well, it's on backwards, and that was a full sentence that we clearly understood. and that'll reinforce that evidence there.
See, that makes so much sense because Troy, who this was his investigation, knows how to use the S box a little bit more than me. And I have that problem where I'm bringing in a lot of the radio frequencies, and then I'm like, oh my God, I can't get the hang of these. Like, I have to do
I don't
research.
like they're noisy and they're annoying. I prefer not to use them. I don't like them, but
they're very difficult. So I think he must have had it on backwards because it worked perfectly with the words and there was no radio. But we ended up having the laser grid on behind Troy. So there is a video. Okay. There might be video on TikTok or Facebook. If not, I'm going to post it anyway. And my aunt was sitting next to me and she's doing all the talking and he's kind of talking out what he's hearing. So we ended up having the laser grid on and there was a shadow that manipulated it. And our friend Brandon was sitting on the floor next to us and he's pointing like, look, and it kind of went a little weird. So that was like the first time for the laser grid for me to see it kind of act weird. But then we realized after everything that was coming through that there was a church next door and they thought we were sinning. So we ended up just white lighting and we just left on good terms. We do want to go back again and do a little differently. But that was a really cool investigation and I wasn't drained with this one. It just felt
it's interesting. I've investigated the Orillia Opera House myself. I've been to the Gravenhurst one as well.
Okay.
I feel that the Gravenhurst one has more energy than the Orillia one. When I was there a few times, I didn't really get that paranormal vibe. But then again, not as like in comparison to the Gravenhurst one. But what's interesting though is that the Gravenhurst Opera House was the first one to claim that they were haunted. Wow. And then later on, the Orillia Opera House adopted that idea. And then this story started to happen at the Orillia Opera House. So I'm not a medium, I'm not a skeptic. Like I don't feel spirits, so I can't say that the spirits aren't there. But as an investigator, it makes sense to me that the story may have been adopted from there. So they're piggybacking off of that, which is nothing wrong with that in terms of a business and things like that too. But I did feel things in the Gravenhurst one. So that's where I'm also starting to believe it to be true. But when I felt nothing at the Opera House in Orillia, so going back to Orillia would be something I'd be interested in doing as well to see if things have changed. So
absolutely. And let me know if you come down and you want to meet up and go. Like I think.
Yeah, you never know. Follow us and you see that we're in the area and things like that too. We're not that far away. I'm up in Penetang, so not that.
You're not very far at all.
No. So me and my wife can come out and maybe we can meet up.
So
all right, we're gonna pause right now and head over to commercial break. Okay.
Sounds great.
We'll continue after a message from our sponsors. You are listening to. Sorry, if you're only listening to the audio only version, head over to youtube.com/ the Experiencer Support Association, so you see the video that goes with this audio. Remember, you are listening to Beyond the Tinfoil Hat, a podcast by the Experiencer Support Association, and we will be right back.
It's your business. It's your property. Your assets are worth protecting. Blacklight Investigative and Surveillance Services specializes in patrolling and inspecting residential or commercial property against fire, theft, vandalism, terrorism, and illegal activity. People and buildings are monitored to prevent crime. Keep your property, your people, and your assets safe from threat. Our elite staff are dual licensed private investigators and security guards. Blacklight Investigative and Surveillance Services. Go to blacklightiss.com.
The same thing that draws aliens to our planet is the same thing that draws us to others. Exploration, curiosity, sustainability of life. That's why we go. It would make sense as to why they're visiting here.
Travis! Quit playing around, man. Get back here. Travis! this?
The last thing I remember was this numbing shock. Stunning sort of a feeling. Very powerful.
Get away from me!
I was just out of my mind with fear, just screaming the whole time.
It's been theorized that aliens prefer remote areas because they don't want to attract attention. Whatever it is that they're doing, they would want to do that in a less populated area. There are multiple accounts of the same thing from people from all over the world. People that do not know each other, do not live in the same cultures, and they're all looking up, they're all seeing things in the sky. So it would be naive of us to think that we're
Ryan is one of Canada's leading new UFO investigators. He conducts and oversees UFO investigations on a constant basis and was really taken by his research. He's compiled a tremendous amount of data regarding UFOs in Canada. And just as interesting, he really goes over how UFO investigations are done and what are some of the mistakes that people make when they submit evidence. Note for starters, don't edit your videos or photos before you send them. If you want to hear more follow-up conversation between Ryan and myself, you can go to richardolanmembers.com, where we have a candid conversation on ufology, the paranormal, and more. And remember, while we learn and grow and search for the truth, let's be good to each other.
Welcome to the Observation Deck, a state-of-the-art, one-of-a-kind virtual platform that takes video conferencing to the next level by using avatars to navigate a campus, just like you would in real life. First, you install the application and design your very own unique avatar. Then you're free to explore the various areas of the campus at any time from anywhere. There's so many areas and activities to choose from on the platform. There's a 1,000-seat auditorium, a large expo hall, a movie theater, a nightclub, an art gallery, and even a beach. Come attend a conference or take a class or hear a lecture. Meet new friends and interact directly with presenters. It's all right here on the incredible Observation Deck campus. Where in the world will you go?
Have you ever wondered, or maybe just thought to yourself, if there were others just like you? You know, people with extraordinary abilities, psychogenic advancement, and perhaps unique intuitions. Maybe you just wondered if there were other people who experienced unimaginable, unexplained, or even unusual and paranormal events. Are there people who have more questions, more fears than answers? Well, you're not alone. You've never been alone. We believe you. Sign up for EA today by going to tesacan.org/EA. That's TESACAN.org/EA.
Welcome back. You are listening to Beyond the Tinfoil Hat. Have you ever experienced an unexplained event involving the paranormal, UFOs, extraterrestrials, dogman, or any other paracryptid? Head over to our website, www.tesacan.org, and submit a report. Let the others who have already reported be that example that proves we are making a difference. And if it wasn't for these reports, we would not be able to do what we do. And for that, we thank you. So I'm still here with Sara Sophia. How you doing?
Good.
First hour down. You're good to go for another hour?
We'll certainly try.
All right. No, you're doing good. You're doing good. So not bad for your first time. So we're keeping it going. So you're doing fine. I have a question. Well, I kind of want to stay in the investigation, but then I want to go back, but I don't know where we're going to go. But maybe Okay. So when you mentioned your history with paranormal, you mentioned your aunt several times that she has the ability as well, and your mother has sensed things, correct?
My dad.
Your dad. Okay, so another parent. So and the aunt, is the aunt related to dad or aunt related to mom?
So my aunt is related to my mom. It's
Okay.
My mom's aunt. She's always been very spiritual and
Okay. Is
very
your mom
involved.
spiritual at all? Does your mom have any of these abilities?
No, but she's learning. She's
Okay.
adapting to it and seeing and understanding it a little bit more.
And then grandfather connected to grandmother. What side of the tree is that on?
My dad. So
So there might be some sort of lineage on your dad's side
yeah,
that paranormal spectrum is carrying through.
well, that's what we wonder. We talk about it. My grandma, she passed in 2019 at 75. So she just turned 75 and then passed. She was head of the prayer group at the Orillia Guardian Angels Church. And growing up, my grandma was one of my biggest supporters. She would talk about a lot about God and the faith. And, I'm a Roman Catholic, so my grandma kept it with her grandkids and explained a lot, and my grandma would sense and say things like, oh, the Lord is speaking to me and saying this. So she was like a messenger, I guess, in that way. But I always say to my dad, maybe she was connecting with maybe her angels or her guides or spirit, she was very in tune with the other side, but with her faith, which was great because I learned a lot about my faith, and that's what kept me so positive through life and wanting to connect with the angelic. And my grandfather, after my grandma passed, he started saying some things like he's having outside of body experiences where he's talking to the other side or speaking with my grandma. My grandfather never used to talk like that ever, and he died 3 or 4 times with heart attacks. So It's really cool to hear him kind of talk about it because it's right up my alley. Like, I like hearing about that stuff because, you want the proof. You want to know that there is something that is there. So
has he? So we would call those near-death experiences, I suppose. Like,
yeah.
Has he ever explained to you what he sees when? During those times.
Just after my grandmother passed, it was that night. I got on the phone with him, and he's like, I seen where she was going. They told me how it was going to happen and where she was. He's like, I was literally sitting at this huge long table, and it almost looked like they were saints on the other side, but they were so angelic. They were so powerful that, I felt so small of this ball of light, and they were like this big beam of light. And I thought, yeah, like, that's how I kind of feel when I see it or listen to other people's experiences, like on YouTube or whatever. So it's really fascinating to have that connection with my grandfather and be able to talk about this stuff.
It's interesting for the time frame because I had a grandmother that I didn't really learn that she was psychically in tune until she passed. So, and then talking to other people and things like that, and it kind of made sense with the way that she did things. But for the time period, it wasn't something that she liked to talk about, which is why many of us didn't know. So considering how far back that goes, for them to be so open in that time period or that generation, I find interesting.
Yeah. Wow, that's interesting. That is really cool.
Yeah. So, all right. So that's a little bit more about why you were the way that you are. Genetics. It's possible. Do you think that that's possible? That somewhere down the line, maybe in the bloodline there was like a alien or paranormal contact of some sort, and then that was just transferred on through you, and then through I guess through your grandfather to your father, and then to you, and then to your children, because your children are having right?
100%. You know, like when I came to realize that I was a medium, I didn't know the term medium. I had to do some research on why am I channeling somebody I don't know and bringing their loved ones through? Why am I getting all this stuff right? You know, I would just be at a dinner party and be like, it just come out of nowhere, and she'd be like, "Oh my God, you're freaking me out," or that kind of just happened. So I started to do my research and started going to crystal fairs and psychic fairs and just kind of looking around, seeing, you know, what the possibilities were, because I was skeptic of myself 110%. Like, I would reach out to my aunt and be like, what is going on with me? I used to reach out to my grandmother as a child, and I remember her sitting me down and just praying over me, because it was like she knew I was channeling whatever she thought I was channeling. But at that time, I had no idea what she was doing. Yeah, with my readings, I've had some really awesome ones. You know, sometimes a reading may last 10 minutes. Another time might last an hour and a half. It all depends on spirit. And yeah, it's awesome. I did a reading about a month ago. I actually had COVID a month ago, or a month a bit ago. And all of a sudden I'm channeling spirit for one of my sister's friends. And I'm like, I don't even know why I'm channeling. Like, I'm sick as a dog. So I called up my sister and I'm like, what's your friend's name again? You know? And she's like, oh, so-and-so. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, do you think she'd mind if I message her? Cause I have her grandmother here. Like, it's just weird how it works that way. She goes, yeah. So I end up messaging her, and I'm like doing a reading and channeling her grandmother. And then all of a sudden I'm like, your grandmother is hysterically laughing about the name Barb. I said, but it doesn't even feel like a human to me. I'm like, what is with Barb? And she literally just cracked out laughing and said, I named my car Barb. Is my car okay? And I'm like, I think your car's okay, but they think it's hilarious that you named your car Barb. So Spirit was being very comical, and had other messages to deliver. And yeah, it was nice for her, because she never had that a reading before. So it was new to her, and she's like, I'm a total believer. This is great.
It's interesting how it works. I try to always visualize and imagine what it's like to be on the other side, and then all of a sudden be like, hey, there's someone I could talk to. You know, like if you're in like on this side, if you walk into an empty building or a building full of people, you don't know where to go, you look for the information desk. So you go to the information desk, you talk to them, and then you get the information, you go where you got to go. But on the other side, maybe, like, what does that look like? What do you think that would look like for them to find you? Like these specks of light, and then all of a sudden they're like, hey, you know.
Yeah.
Like, how do you think that works?
Yeah, I feel, and this is what I tell people, if this makes any sense. I can't connect without the white light. I protect myself with the white light bubble and make sure that I'm connecting angelically. I like to use that term because I want to make sure that when I'm connecting with people's loved ones, that they're satisfied. And I make sure that, you know, I'm picturing the white light head to toe, and that spirit is in the light as well. So yeah, I do picture light beings when I connect with them. And when you...
Sorry, go ahead.
You know when you get the shakes, like from being super hungry?
Yeah.
And it's irritating. That's how I get sometimes if I have to deliver a message.
Okay.
It's the way I describe it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I can relate to that. Okay. So you talk really highly about angelic beings, and you talk really highly about positive and the light, and that's all good mindset. That's like, if you have the choice between good and bad, you know, it's good that you're choosing to think positive. But like, do you always have a choice? Does it ever come to you negative and then you flip it and you want it to be positive, or do you ever get contacted by the opposite? So the demons and the lower vibrational, and if so, like, how do you manage that?
Yeah, I think through channeling just the negative, feeling very negative, I have to make sure that when I'm channeling, I'm in a really good mindset, or I don't channel. I don't think I've channeled mediumship wise with a negative spirit, to be exact, because I'm still in my practice and I'm still learning how to use my gift. But back to the investigations, I've channeled with negative spirits. And my biggest thing I tell people is, when you're doing this kind of work, you cannot have any fear, because spirit will manipulate that fear. And that's when a spirit or a ghost or whatever would like to be a jokester or be negative. So I just put my shield on and I speak to it like I would with a human being, like, do not come into my space. You're not welcome here unless you're going to be positive.
Is it like you can kind of feel it when somebody walks in a room and they're in a bad mood? You can tell them, right? So
Yeah, and I hate
come back
that.
when you're in a good mood. Yeah, you can feel it. So the spirits could be the same. Is it? Do you think it's possible, or have you ever had a situation where the energy presented itself positive and you believe it to be angelic, but it really wasn't? Like a trickster?
Maybe.
All right, let's talk about that. What makes you think maybe? What happened then?
Well, no, that's just a really good question, because I haven't actually thought of it like that.
That's my job, to make you think.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're going to make me go back to that one. That's for sure.
It's a dangerous thing. Is kind of what I'm leading up to. So like this,
totally
you
is.
have the ability to do this. It's coming to you. We're able to do it. I'm trying to understand, what it is, or why it's happening and who it's happening to. But to interpret the positive and the negative, I'm finding that with a positive belief, you can believe that it's, that it's good when it's not really
100%.
good. And it's hard because when you trust it, and as someone who's channeling, someone who has the ability to give that information out and give a reading, how do you trust that the response that, say, you're giving me, right? If you're channeling right now, how do you trust that you're giving me information that's truthful? And I'm not going to take that information and go do something that might end up being harmful, because you're channeling someone on that intends to do harm, but is cloaked as a positive, because we can do that in real life.
Yeah, 100%.
So do you have some buffers or some filters even when you go through that to challenge the spirits to validate that the information is authentic?
Not that I can say offhand, but it takes me back to the Bracebridge Library, because I did use mediumship there. And I was channeling a male that was very negative. And my aunt was channeling him too.
How did you know it was negative? Did it tell you it was negative, or did it feel negative?
It felt very dark, very negative. It's like, when you're channeling something positive, you feel happy, you feel great, you feel motivated. But when you're entering a space that's not yours, it's an unwelcoming feeling. I felt with this male, I said to everyone, we're not supposed to be here. He is not happy that we're here, like, at all. He does not want us here. And my aunt was picking that up too. And it felt kind of intense.
Right. How did you feel before you went into that? Before that event happened, how was your day going that day?
Yeah. So beforehand, before we went, I actually felt really sick. So I was feeling really drained and very sick, and I'm like, oh man, maybe I'm channeling spirit, right? So I ended up turning on this different spirit box I have. It's called the Afterlife, made by Anthony Sanchez. And I'm like, okay, like, spirit, if you know we're coming. And it was like talking about books, you're coming. And I'm like, okay. And then I got called the B word out loud. So I don't want to say it. So I'm like, okay, this is kind of negative. And I don't know if we're channeling with the library, but I'm already feeling a negative spirit.
Mm-hmm.
So we get there and I'm still feeling really nauseous. So I was really drawn to one of the ladies that had worked there that wasn't staying for the investigation. And I pulled her aside and I did a reading on her. I was ending up channeling her loved ones. And we did the reading. It was great. And then after that, I didn't feel sick anymore. I felt like kind of relief. I'm like, okay, got that over with. I didn't know what I was walking into.
So you had some anxiety and you weren't feeling well. So the reason why I was asking that is to think of the possibility. Do you think maybe because you weren't feeling well and you went into there and you felt the energy, that it felt bad, not because it was bad itself, but perhaps you weren't feeling the best? And if that was the case, it makes it even harder for you to judge it because they're not telling you one way or another. You're judging based on feeling, but we're not taking consideration on how you feel that day, which makes it really hard to interpret, right?
That's where it comes in when I say I can feel spirit at times. So sometimes that day before I do a reading, I can feel how their loved one passed. Sometimes it could be my leg might start being really tingly, or my kneecap might be in pain. So I'm like, okay, there's like, I'll connect with spirit like hours before the reading, like spirit's already channeling. So then I'm like, okay, there's something with the leg. So I'll validate, there was something with the leg because spirit's showing me. Or spirit, if they had passed of cancer, they will show me how it felt, and then they will show me kind of where they passed of cancer, if it was chest, if it was head, if it was around the kidneys. So it's like I get these visions and images, but I can sense and feel how spirit passed. And that's how I was feeling in school, in middle school, in high school, not knowing I was channeling. Some of these students,
you didn't know what it was then, but then now that you've learned and researched it, you can apply that you were dealing with that your whole life, just not knowing.
Yeah, and let me tell you, I called home sick quite a bit because I was feeling all sorts of different things, and I just didn't understand. I just thought there's something wrong with me at the time. But now I understand it, and now I know how to work with it, and I'm learning still how to work with those things, how to switch the switch on, switch the switch off. There could be times I'm in the grocery store and I'm sensing spirit, or if I'm out for dinner. And sometimes crowded places are really hard, and sometimes not. Sometimes it's just completely normal. But that's where I'm kind of learning how to be my own medium. Like every medium's different. And I'm working on how to be me, how to be my own person and have this gift at the same time, and embrace it. And like I said, even still being a medium, I'm still skeptic sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, how the hell did I even know that? Like, you know what I mean? Was it a coincidence or what? You know?
There's a lot of people amongst our audience and that we investigate or on behalf as well that aren't even aware that they have these abilities until later on, and we kind of have to tell them that we suggest it and think it. But like living with it and adapting with it. I know you're doing research and stuff, but those are different. Those are other people's opinion based on what it's like for them. So like if I were to encourage anything, you would just kind of focus on what works for you, what feels good, what's right into the direction until you're comfortable with whatever it is you want to do. But by you talking about it, by sharing this experience, that helps people. You have so go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I have family who are Christians and Catholics and believe a lot in their faith, and me coming out with my gift, or hey, like I'm doing paranormal investigations, it's so hard on me to express that to my family at times because they don't understand, or because my grandmother always taught me growing up, we don't do that kind of stuff. So after she passed, I kind of opened it up more, was like, okay, Grandma, now the card's out, you know all about it. So it's tough, you know, like I'm still learning how to be open to the world about it. And I think that's where my pages come in. You know, I created that TikTok account, and I have made so many friends who are paranormal investigators around the world, mediums, and being able to share experiences, it puts me in a comfort zone. It's definitely, you know, like my article came out. A reporter found me and said, hey, like,
that's how we found you.
Yeah, and they're like, this is interesting because we don't hear enough about this stuff at all. And I'm like thinking that's kind of true. So putting it out there, I was really nervous. And
to find someone that was willing to write it and post on that is a feat of its own. You know, to get someone to find an editor that will allow it to go. In ufology, like it's like pulling teeth and nails, you know, whatever that expression is. It's really hard. Tooth and nail, I think, is it? Yeah, to get reporters to report on the UFO subject, but they're doing it now, but that's a long time coming.
Yeah, it was very nerve-wracking for me because.
But you did it.
I'm not used to all the criticism yet. The skeptics, yes, that's okay. But I had to learn. I was like, you know what? No, I'm going to allow this because I almost said no. But I'm like, I need to challenge myself a little bit. I need to hear the criticism. I need to let them know that, hey, it's okay. Like, you know, we don't know until we have our own experience. And it took me that.
Who's criticizing though, right? Like, I mean, because you can't criticize if they can't prove it not to be true. So if you 100%. Believe it to be spirit, if you believe it to be paranormal, if you believe it to be aliens, you know, why I keep references back in that is because I'm always trying to show it's the same thing. It's us that think differently. But if we're challenging it and we're going to put somebody down when we can't prove it, you know, you know, it's no different. It's no different than anything else we dislike. So if you're able to embrace it and you feel good about it and you got people that are encouraging it, follow that, to find yourself, follow the path based on whatever happens. Case in point, you did all these things that led up to it. A reporter found you. They wrote an article. We saw that. We found you. You're here. After this, someone might see you on here and then be like, boom, I want, you know, so take those opportunities and just see where it goes. And that's how you'll find your true path. And people will gravitate towards the feeling. So if they, it doesn't matter what you say, in terms of whether it being right or wrong, it's the belief, it's how you're thinking about it, how they feel when they're interacting with you. All those things will determine your following, and then from there, you know, you're helping people because you're sharing your experience. Other people listening are resonating. Some people are keeping it inside. Yeah. Right. So it's a very brave thing. So don't. You're being a little humble here, but you should. You know, you should. You know, it's a big step. You're doing great.
Yeah, it's definitely take me to a whole different level. That's for sure. And it's been interesting. It's been fun. You know, I have more exciting things coming that I can't tell anybody yet.
Oh, why not? Can you tease a little bit? Something? You hear it first on this podcast. What is it?
I can't say. I can't say yet. But the other thing that I'm working on right now is a portal. So that could be a whole different podcast to come, where I want to channel people's loved ones through the portal. And that takes a lot of my energy, my light, spirit's energy, and do some connecting that nobody has ever seen before. And I have been doing it. I have been connecting through the portal with my spirit guides that come through, other people's loved ones that have come through. And it takes a lot of meditating. Let's just say that. So that's going to be pretty new this year.
That's good. That's good. I'm excited. I hope that let us know when that comes through, and then maybe we'll get you back on and we can talk about it and see how that was for you.
Yeah.
In terms of energy, right? And I'm just curious to know on methods maybe on how you're taking care of yourself. And what I mean by that is our understanding of this energy transfer. When we die, the energy goes, and then wherever this energy is, it comes to you, and you absorb the energy, and then you send these messages out. And you said many times that you feel exhausted, you feel drained, because you're absorbing the energy and you're expelling the energy. How do you recharge?
A good nap, that's for sure. I make sure that I stay healthy. That's number one. Stay healthy, meditate. It took for me to even do a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of self-healing from past trauma. Learning to love myself. There was a point in time I didn't love myself. I didn't love who I was. Had a hard time making friends because of who I am. Judgmental people.
Yeah.
Losing really good friends that I dearly love. So then I started working on myself. So I started getting crystals and saying, hey, if people are saying you can connect with crystals and the energy, I'm going to try it out. So started getting some crystals and making my atmosphere positive. And I teach my kids this stuff too. Like, they love this stuff, they'll pick a crystal at night to put under their pillow, and I'll explain the crystal a little bit for them to understand. And my son, William, he's 11. He likes to go on the investigations with me, and it's nice to show them,
That's
the
great,
stuff that I'm doing. Yeah.
That they're the next generation. I think that we're the transitional generation in terms of it's been covered up, but then now it's starting to come out, and then we got to help the next generation embrace it. So the fact is that you're showing it, and I encourage that too. We do have a training academy that's in development, and one of the projects that I wanted to work on top of that, coming from the idea of actually a cryptozoologist named Alex Mistretta, to also teach children, how to investigate and things like that too. So it gets carried into the next generation. So
yeah, I think that's great, because the next generation is going to be a lot different than now. Like, I found when 2020 hit, the earth shifted. It like reincarnated somehow. Like,
lots going on. We're still in a retrograde, I think.
Yeah.
Lots of stuff going on. I'll be glad when that's done.
Me too.
Yeah.
We need more positive things, and that's another thing why I enjoy having fun with the stuff that I'm doing on my pages and TikTok, because I think the world just needs some enlightenment and some like cool things and some happiness, and it brings me joy. I always tell people, don't listen to the radio, don't watch the news, because if you do, you're going to live in fear. Live today, live for tomorrow. Wake up and look at yourself and go, I'm alive. Like, I'm here. Okay.
I wish I could be like that. I have to watch the news. I need to know what's going on, so I know what's happening 10 moves ahead. But
that's okay. Okay.
Someone has to do it. But,
yeah.
It drives me crazy though. It drives me nuts. But I mean, my wife doesn't. She can live free for all she wants to do, and I don't know how she does it.
Yeah.
But, nothing seems to bother her, which is good. It's strong. The women are strong. I'm finding that a lot of. Like the spiritual connection and this embracing and loving kindness, that femininity, that it's really related to these types of abilities. I do have talked to some people that have psychic abilities on the masculine side, but I mean, they have feminine characteristics. They're kind and they're passionate, and there's also these, but then you get these really aggressors. I haven't really found any aggressive females in ufology or paranormal studies, because I don't think that exists. That just must be a male thing in the ufology community. But it's interesting, because I feel like there is two types of beings in existence. There's us, and then there's them. And those are the one. And it's just, but you have to play with them in order to get through this. But when we're connecting to loved ones on the other side, we also got to help them
Yeah.
So like it's challenging. It's quite challenging because it's a service that gets zero recognition. So just if you haven't been told before, good job. Thank you for doing that on behalf of everyone else that you've assisted, and I hope you continue to do that because it's beneficial to create that environment where people know they're not alone.
Yeah.
Right. And even if you don't know who or what's behind it, you put that positive spin.
Yeah, 100%.
Right. And that's better than fear because anything with fear. Right. And we go back to your experience where you were not feeling well before you went to the library, there was a bit of a negative vibration. So that negative vibration was hard for you to get up if you already started that way. Maybe you weren't charged. There's a lot of things. You don't sleep well, you have a bad day. Things like that happen. So we be more mindful to things like that. Raise the vibration, everyone's more happier, then we can save the world. But it's not that easy. Exactly. It's not that easy though.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the way I look at it, I just go with the flow,
Mm-hmm.
like.
Okay, let me see. Go back to investigations, I guess. Sure. What would be your most compelling piece of evidence that you would be like, whatever you're explaining it to be, this is it. Look at this,
Okay. 3 weeks ago, I went to my cousin's wedding. It was in Rockport, Ontario, just outside of Kingston, on the St. Lawrence River, the Boathouse Inn. So that's.
We had a picture there, right?
Church.
This church one, this one. Is that Rockport? Yeah. Okay.
Yep. So that's my sister Bree. She's pretty awesome. So we didn't know we were doing a paranormal investigation whatsoever. So we were going down to my cousin's wedding, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to bring some gear because you never know. So the moment we got in there, I was feeling this feels really cool. There has to be spirit here. I got some energy feels, the vibes are good. So I said, how about, later on, we give it a go. Mm-hmm. So it was the night before the wedding. We decided to let everybody else do their thing. And we got out the gear and we went into the Boathouse Inn. So it's absolutely gorgeous. So I bring in my K2 meter. You might know what a K2 meter is.
I do.
Yeah, so I love my K2 meter because it's the easiest thing to debunk because it really, if you put a phone near it, all the lights are going to go off. So if you put it near no technology, no metal whatsoever, spirit can manipulate it. So
it's also very sensitive, though. It picks up a lot of bad noise. I wouldn't recommend it as being the best EMF tool.
Yeah.
But go on.
It's my new tool. I haven't had a whole lot of experience with it yet. So I'm okay, we're in here. It's quiet. I said to her, we're not really getting a whole lot because there's other people kind of walking around. I said, let's take it to the motel room and let's try it out. So we get in there and I gave my sister's boyfriend my dowsing rods. It was his first time to use them. And I love my dowsing rods. So he's sitting on the bed and I put one of these near him and I put one near me and another one across the way. And like I said, here at home, they don't go off. My house is not haunted. So I was able to turn everything on and I said, spirit, if you're here, if there is a spirit here, can you make the one light up that's right over there beside me? Instantly, it just starts flashing. And then it stopped. I'm okay. And I said, are you upset with how loud people are in your space outside? It started to flash. So I'm okay, this is great. I said, if you're a male, can you light up the one over near John? Instantly started lighting up. I said, okay. And then the rods crossed and he's holy crap, these are moving. So then I was asking other questions for a good 15 minutes, and Spirit was answering with these lights. So I was like, okay, this is great. My mom was 2 doors down, and I went over and seen her, and I showed her a video on my phone. I said, Mom, check this out. I said, like, this is kind of creepy, right? And so I'm showing her the video, and I'm like, there's something behind me. Like, what the hell? So I turn over, and her ceiling fan starts to move. And then it starts to go a little faster. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? She's like, Sarah, get out of here because you're bringing spirit in my room and you're freaking me out right now. So I start laughing and I leave the room. She's like, not even 10 seconds after you left, it stopped. It completely stopped moving. So I said to my sister, I'm like, I think we brought spirit from the building to the motel, followed me to my mom's room, went back, and we did some more investigating. So then the following night, after the wedding, after the dinner, it got dark, and I said, let's get out the spirit box and let's just start communicating with spirit, and we'll bring these lights because they seem to like them. So my sister starts videotaping with her phone, and I'm like, Spirit, like there's a ball right there. There's one right there. You're welcome to just tap on them. They'll light up. They won't harm you in any way. And so instantly it went off. I'm like, okay, so it stopped. So I said, Spirit, do you know who we are? Can you tell us our names? Well, the spirit box said John and Bree, and they jumped 10 feet in the air. We're like, okay, oh my God, that was not weird or anything. And then I was like, okay, thanks for the validation. And then the ball kind of lit up again as a you're welcome. So we kind of had fun with that, but we didn't do it for a long period of time in both nights because I didn't want to disrespect any spirit that we were channeling if we were. And I felt real at peace with the energy. It was almost like, this is my space. I'm taking care of it. And I just want people to respect it. Mm-hmm. And so those were the questions we were asking for them to light up and manipulate. And it felt great. So the first night we go to bed, and I said, oh my God, I can barely breathe. I'm like, I feel like something's on top of me and I'm breathing in hot air. And my sister's like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah. I said, I don't know. I'm feeling some weird energy right now, and I've never felt this before. Like, this is weird. And so I got up, moved around, laid back down, and then I got freezing cold. Like, I was frozen. And I'm like, I'm freezing cold. Like, I'm frozen. Like, I can't even move. I'm so cold. And I said, there's something by that bathroom door because I feel something staring at me. Just that feeling when you know that there's something looking at you, right? Instantly, the bathroom door closes. So we were like, okay, Spirit, we're going to bed, so you have to let us go to sleep. So I respect you. Please respect my space. I'm really happy that you're happy that you were able to connect with us if this was your first time. And I will make sure that the audience outside and around know to respect your space. Mm-hmm. And we just left it at that. And that was probably the most haunted location I have ever investigated. And I want to go back. It was just like, we tried to debunk things and you just could not. Like, it was awesome.
It's interesting, especially when you get that immediate validation, right? Like, do this and then that happens.
Yeah.
Thought comes to mind too, to put the shoe back onto the human element. When you ask for it to turn on, in that moment while you're waiting for it to turn on, how long does that take between, like, in seconds?
Sometimes it would take 10 seconds. Sometimes it would take immediately.
And then during that 10 seconds, what are you thinking about?
I'm just kind of looking at it and saying, you're welcome to touch the ball if you like. Mm-hmm. It's not going to harm you. So I kind of just...
And do you want it to turn on?
Well, yeah.
Right. Is it possible that when you put that intention out there and you're sitting there thinking about it, that when it turned
Maybe.
on, it was you?
I mean, if that's the case, I am powerful.
Right. Have you ever tested yourself trying to turn the object on?
No.
Try it and let me know if
Okay.
it works. All right.
Okay.
Because if you can do that, then that I just prove, then it's you. No
Yeah.
ghosts, right?
I would be like,
Mhm.
come on over to my house. I'll make things move. That would be pretty cool.
It's easier to explain. It's easier to explain if it's us, right? And that's the whole part
100%.
of understanding it. We get into media, we get into propaganda, we get into like UFOs, like you calling a UFO a machine and a light. That's exactly what it is. That's what it's supposed to be. It's a machine. It's government. It's garbage. It's not aliens. It's something else. But the extraterrestrial and these light orbs, that's more on the paranormal things and the psychic phenomenon. But that still connects us to human beings being more evolved and connected to what we call the ultra spectrum, this other place. But we don't give ourselves enough credit, like to be the people behind it. It also doesn't help that I've finished watching Stranger Things season 4, so I'm totally.
I have to start that.
I'm
Season 3 totally freaked me right
totally
out. I'm like,
waiting for July 1st so the next episodes come out. Like, it's a good season. It's good.
that's awesome.
All right, so we have one more segment. I'm not quite sure how long it will go. It'll be interesting because it'd be completely left field with the conversation we're having here. But before I do that, tell everybody again how they can find you, where they can, we do have links in the description, but if there's anything else going on, what's the best way to get a hold of you if they're local in the area or whatever they want to do and follow you from here?
Yeah, absolutely. If you guys are interested, on Facebook, I'm under Keeping Up with Spirits. I have 2 different pages. I have a closed group and an open group. I advise that you add yourself to the closed group that's not open yet because I do share more stuff on there. And I'm going to start doing lives at cemeteries as well, and we do raffles. Sometimes the raffles might be a free reading or come to an investigation, or maybe you'll win a set of dowsing rods or something. So I like to do it once in a blue moon. And I'm also under Keeping Up with Spirits on TikTok and Instagram. I just started an Instagram. I do have a YouTube channel that I've started. So all under Keeping Up with Spirits. So
well on your way.
Yeah.
So I just thought of something else that I wanted to ask you about the cemeteries.
Sure.
So you like going in cemeteries to do? Why do you like cemeteries?
I know people would think it's like spooky and creepy, but I actually find it very peaceful. I think that's because of visiting my grandmother at the cemetery. I feel at peace. It's not a creepy thing. There's not always just spirits roaming around a cemetery. But I do like to bring my rods there, the spirit box, and I like to sit and get validation and just be friendly. And I like to bring triggered items. I think it's just if you want to be outside and do investigations when you live in a very busy town, it's like the perfect location to do something like that.
For me, it's a perfect place for a baseline to test your equipment because there's no power lines underneath. There's no running water underneath.
Yeah, and I've had the balls go off there too.
I'm not so convinced that cemeteries is a place where spirit would be, because if energy left the body, it would stay where it was when it died, not transfer with the body. But again, I find it very unlikely that cemeteries would actually possess the energy, but then again, can't prove that. That's a theory of my own. So I've always used cemeteries in a belief that if I'm going to test equipment off the grid, if you will, to see how they operate normally, that would be a good place to do that.
Yeah, 100%.
With your dowsing rods too, how do you know? Do you ever check to see if there's any running water underneath where you are? Because you were using your dowsing rods at Rockport, but that's on the
Yep.
at the boathouse. There's water nearby, so how do you know?
great for that. I use them for yes and no questions, and sometimes like they will not work for me at all, unless I am connecting with spirit or I have somebody hold them who wants to connect with their loved ones. But yeah, they do work for water witching, they would say. I'll show you guys my LED dowsing rods.
Okay.
These are really, really cool. These ones are huge. So I like to use these on nighttime investigations. They're a lot of fun. I find they move a little bit more, like they swing a little bit more. So it's interesting when they're staying still.
Are they battery powered?
Yeah,
okay.
These ones are.
Are there magnets inside of them, inside the batteries, in the housing?
Good.
I'd be just worried about them pulling to each other. That's all.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, I had those handcrafted from a paranormal shop in Ohio, and they are under NCPD. So they have some great trigger wires I want to get.
There's not any Canadian suppliers for this equipment. Like we have to buy from America. I do notice that to get the good stuff.
I was talking to Ghost Stop the other day, and I was like messaging with them, and I said, it'd make it a lot easier if you guys opened up a shop in Canada or changed your shipping. I said, because when I'm ordering something that's $200, it's $50 maybe for the shipping and tax, and then for
customs. You got customs too.
Exactly. And then having the guy deliver, it's like sometimes an extra $40 to $100. And so the next day they changed the shipping for Canada and made it a hell of a lot easier. So I'm like, freaking right. They heard me.
I think it's Paul. Is that the guy? I've been trying to get him to. We have a store too. I was trying to see if I can be a distributor for them, but that's neither here nor there. And that's cool. You're hearing that for the first time too, CC. Sorry, forget to tell you. That's something I'm working on. But so we have them listed on our new website as affiliates too. So there's also a UFO stop, which they sell the same equipment for UFO stuff. So it's kind of interesting. Yeah. So cool. Good job. All right. So let's do our final segment, and then we'll do our after chat and we'll call it a night. So this is Sorry, Not Sorry. All right, so I ask everybody on the show this question, and it's just to prove the point that we're never on the same page. And the one thing that we should know definitively and believe we never have the same answer. So I'm going to ask you one question, and then I'll see how long it takes you to answer it. Do you accept the challenge?
Sure.
Okay, with all the knowledge and experience that you've consumed in your lifetime, what shape do you believe that the Earth is in?
Sorry, you were kind of breaking up there. Can you repeat that?
With all the knowledge that you have and experience, what shape is the Earth?
Round.
Okay. You had to think about that. Why'd you have to think about that?
Because I'm going to tell you something right now. Everything on TikTok right now is the Earth is not flat. It's round. So I'm like, and then I'm listening to reasons of why, and I'm like, really and truly, how would we even know? It's so huge. Do we actually know if it's flat or if it's round?
Not well, scientists do, but do we believe the scientists that they say ghosts aren't real? Do we believe the scientists that say aliens aren't real? So the whole point of asking this question throughout the whole season is to show that we get a variance of different people who hesitate and think about the one thing that we should be confident about, and we're not. So if we can't even be definitive on what shape the Earth is, then it's possible for aliens and ghosts to exist and all these other things in between.
So true.
Right? So you can't say it doesn't exist. It has to all exist or none of it exists. And these are people trying to understand, a different part of it, but still trying to answer questions that don't make sense to them. And the only way we can validate that and that part, of course, without believing the science, is to be astronauts and go to space ourselves. But we can't do that in our lifetime. But if we accept the fact that we're not astronauts and we're not able to go to space, why do we not trust the government to tell us that that's the truth?
Yeah, 100%.
Space Cadet 8, thank you so much for becoming a new YouTube member. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. This was really fun.
Yeah, that was great. No, it's good. Thank you. You can come back, talk to CC and admin, and we'll I don't know. There's lots of things. So I think CC will do a follow-up with you afterwards and let you know what other things Tessa has to offer. And if any of those things fit your jam, then we could be seeing each other again soon.
That would be great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries. Okay. Anything else for our members? You want to tell them again where to find you? Keeping with the Spirits?
Keeping Up with Spirits, TikTok or Facebook. And you're welcome to reach out to me on Messenger or keepingupwithspirits@gmail.com.
Perfect. Everybody stick around for the after chat where we're going to talk to the people in the comments and talk about what's new for Tessa and all these other things too. Thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully we see you in the YouTube chat as well. And we'll see you next week.
Sounds great.
That's it, everybody. That is a wrap. That is the end of it all. Thank you for joining me tonight. I look forward to seeing you back next week, where we'll continue to have this conversation deep down into the rabbit hole in which we call the Ultra Spectrum. Thanks for joining us. I said that already. Oh well, fuck it. Eat the world.
All right. How you doing?
Great. How are you?
It always throws me on the other side. I'm just like, yeah. No, I'm good. That was good. That was great. Welcome to the after chat, everybody. I'm here with Cece. Why are you always laughing in the background when I say things? It makes me feel like I've said things wrong. I just see you losing it back there, and I'm like,
I'm enjoying the show.
Oh, okay. All right, good. I'm just a funny guy then, I guess.
Yes.
So I tried something different. Well, comments came up, I starred them. So that way, and I also starred the comments of the people that chimed in so I could say hello to everybody once. So we're going to try this. So hello, Cece. Hello, Anonymous Rex. Hello, Dave Petrella. Sorry. Hello, Patricia Fournier. Am I saying that right? Karen Holton. Fournier. 416 Bitcoin. Back again to try to sell me on Bitcoin. Space Cadet 8th G, which is now a member. Thank you for doing that. We appreciate that. Welcome. Enjoy the bonus content there. And check out Citizen Paranormal. Where there's a I got detained by military police. You're gonna like that video. What else we got? We got Lisa in the house. Hello, Lisa. And that's it. And then I started some of the comments that were kind of like noteworthy to share.
Yeah, I saw that. That was tripping me up. I was like, oh my God, is it my tech acting up? Same time, a whole new
No,
window opens up all on its own. I was like, oh my
So
gosh.
Sarah, if you're in the chat, comment so we know that you're here, and then you can participate in this as well. What did you think of the show, CC?
I loved it, actually. That was it. I'm sure it resonated with a lot of people. A few people said they could really relate to it. Honestly, I think um, what she's doing is
There she's
super
right there.
admirable, and it took me a long time to get to the stage similarly to where she's at, where she's open with her gifts and sharing them with the world, because we're all used to that judgment. We've all had shared this in the past and had friends, drop us like flies, or family, call us cuckoo or whatnot, and that also can hinder your psychic abilities. You block yourself. So it's just really good to hear somebody talk about that open and honestly. And she's so humble, and it was just really interesting to hear what she's up to.
And yeah, it was good to hear it explained in such a way where you're not fully committed, but still exploring, but then embracing it, because then you can really get that genuine, like, I'm still unsure, I'm still figuring it out, but I'm not like fully into, oh, I can make money off of this, or I could do this for, like you can really get the vibe. You can really tell when, that type of person that has the ability, that's putting it out there, and that's where you can get that good reading of terms of, was it light work, right? Especially when you're selecting someone, it's very important when you have a service provider in anything, right? You want to make sure you resonate and you feel good. So there's that, I would say, untaintedness in the sense, because where I'm just a miserable guy who's just dealing with all the trouble with the problem and all this other stuff. But I mean, doesn't know anything, doesn't know any of this drama, doesn't know any of that stuff, and it's just being real. It's kind of envious in a way too, right? So
Yeah,
I wish there
exactly.
sometimes I could be like, screw you. I wish I couldn't say screw you, man. Like, good for you instead. But like, it's just like, oh, you sneaky son of a, it's hard. Or maybe that's just me.
Like you mentioned during the show, there's a little bit of a difference, I think, in the male experience and the female experience with certain aspects of ufology. But I notice, like, yeah, the men tend to be the ones that are cutthroat. There's no
Yeah,
other word.
I have my moments. I have my moments, but I'm also trying. But I enjoy coming back into the paranormal. I enjoy coming back into consciousness. I love that stuff. That's where I feel great. I enjoy these shows. But the ufology part is still important, because it's the same people covering up that may also be covering up this. So there's things that you can learn and pull from that. So the people that are already in that movement are just picking and doing whatever they want to get paid and get their clickbait and misinterpret all this other stuff. Whereas
Mhm.
her as an individual, that and others that do the same, are just like living life, and who cares about this stuff? Life is great. And then I just love to get to that point. But then it's like, but someone's got to be paying attention. So like, it's hard. It's so hard.
You can still pay attention and care without caring. There's like a
Well, it's
fine
called
line here.
it's called delegation. So
I don't know.
eventually I'll be teaching you what to look for. You'll do it. And then when you're stressed, I'll take over and we'll give each
Oh,
other breaks. It's
oh, okay.
delegation. I'll, watch this. I hate this guy, but he might say something important, right? Like that's, I think we've
Yes,
done that a couple times.
you
It's like,
have. We
yeah,
have done
it's
that a
like,
few
yeah,
times.
I fucking hate this guy. I can't watch it, but maybe there's something here, right? And then you've done it and you're like, yeah, it's what you said it was. Okay, thanks. Bye. It's just right. All right. So do we have any? Let me see if there was any questions that I shared. So like, there
Yeah,
were
you
some
shared
really
quite a few
good.
things.
Yeah. Let me see here. So
If
you.
anyone has any questions, you can still ask. That's why we're here doing the
Yeah.
after. And Sarah is in the audience. Thank you,
Perfect.
Sarah.
So you said you can totally relate to Sarah's experience. So I saved that
Absolutely.
down.
Like like from childhood onward, like a lot of similarities. in our experiences for sure.
Mhm.
I've never tried dowsing rods, but I've seen them used for yes and no questions. I prefer other methods like pendulum.
Yeah.
I find that you can basically dictate how spirit will communicate to you. You can
Mhm.
set the parameters and say, I want you to communicate to me in this way. For instance, I want to know what year you were born or you passed or something to that effect. You can set up the parameters, use dice or something like
Mhm.
that. And if you get, a response that makes sense, that's
Mhm.
validation in a way. I use dowsing rods to witch for water, but that's it.
Yeah, like I mean, there's many different tools to get many different results, and there's a lot of things that could be, I wouldn't say debunked, but a lot of skeptics will be like, oh, this is it and that, and therefore it's why. But if they don't test it and they're not there, they can't really say that, so you kind of have to be there. But then when people are there and they've done everything in the best of their ability, they could still do it wrong, but they believe they did it right because they were trying, because there's effort. So
Right.
like it's hard because we're not getting that validation, we're not getting that teaching, we're not getting that regulation, which is what we're trying to do with the academy. Once we get that going, to kind of at least have these rules of things that we can conform to.
Mm-hmm.
It is challenging, but the effort is there, and I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? May not be right, may not be wrong, who knows? But the passion, the effort's there, and it's good. So Anonymous Rex says, "Are you experienced?" We probably are and don't even know it. A lot of us may have been touched by an angel and don't even know it, right? Or
Yeah,
we're
absolutely.
just special beings. All right, what did Dave say? Oi, Davey, how you doing? The blueprint is stamped in the birth chart, the mind and the body. So that was something you said earlier too when we were talking about, I guess, through her life in terms
Yeah.
of how it started. So if she had this shadow figure experience at an earlier age, Dave. So Dave Petrella, just so you know, Sarah, he's on our team. He is an astrologist as well. He does birth chart readings. He has a podcast called East of Astrology. His next episode is on, what's the synchronicities or synchronism?
Syncretism, I think. Yeah.
Syncretism with I forget the guest's name. I can't say it, but anyways, it's on our. If you
On
type
June
Santos,
24th.
I think it's right. And it was at the end of the month, last Friday of every month. He's got a really good show, and hopefully everything works out that we're able to have that show up by the end of the month, and then get things going. It's really good. It's developing, and he talks about birth charts too, because
Yeah.
he
That
did.
comment is pertaining to the discussion too. So
Yeah.
Sarah mentioned basically that, we decide our paths when we come into this, plane, and it's all lined out for us on a map or on a map of something to that regard. I'm paraphrasing, sorry, Sarah. And that was Dave's comment to that. So birth charts he's saying birth
Mm-hmm.
charts is that map.
Okay. All right. Well,
And
Dave, if you're still in the comments, sorry about that. I totally misunderstood that, but thank you. Good to see you. Lisa says, I'm looking forward to being on Tinfoil Hat on June 23rd. So she's on the show. I don't know who my guests are until
no, she's giving
like
it away.
she just gave it away. So it's amazing, Lisa. So I will have to pretend I didn't know that, and then be ready for it. So we'll talk about your book, I'm assuming, and then we'll go from there. So that's great. Good. We'll see you on June 23rd. And I guess we said this one too, right? Don't forget to hit that like button for this video, Heed the World. So if you haven't liked or subscribed or become a member, it's not too late. You can do so. So Patricia Fernier had said Sarah needs to go to Gravenhurst. So yeah, like if you've been to the Opera House in Orillia, if you can get into the one in Gravenhurst, you might be able to see the difference in which I was talking about, or feel the difference, and then that'd be interesting to know. A difference of opinion, right? So other investigators going to the same place, going back to the same things, it's good to get a variance of that too. For me, being in both, I found that Gravenhurst had more activity, but that also could be, right place, right time, because who knows? It could have been a certain time of the month, could have been a full moon, there could have been so many other astrological factors that took in place, as well as the location. So there's a lot of variables. But all I know is that I felt nothing in Orillia and I felt everything in Gravenhurst.
So what were you feeling, Ryan? Because
uncomfortable, goosebumps, and things on my like things I don't normally feel, and it's just like the fuck, you know, things that I know. So this is kind of like in an earlier part of my life when I was starting to learn that maybe I might be able to feel things, and now I'm starting to understand why and things like that too. But I was just kind of like, that's weird. No one else is here. I checked all these things, and I'm just like. But I mean, to be more elaborate on that too, the way we've done our investigations in that place is I'll do a prep beforehand, and I will talk to people that have experiences there, and then I'll kind of figure out and triangulate where the hot spots might be before we go in. Have that in an envelope that's kind of sealed, a big reveal at the end too. And and that particular time, my wife Priscilla was there, and she's medium or a Reiki healer. She can feel. I don't know what she calls or identifies as. We don't kind of use those things, but empath energy. She can do these things too. But what was interesting for me and her being in both these places in different times is she was able to walk. So I spent all this time doing all this work and all this research to talk to these people to be like, okay, if we get there, in theory, I hypothesize that these particular places is where the energy will be the most. She walks in, right? Looks around, walks all around. She's like, here, goes to another place. She goes, here, and here. This is all these things, right? And I open up the thing and I'm like, yeah, this is what I wrote. How the hell did you know that? So there was a lot of testing through that too, right? And that's kind of where I got into this whole there is something going on. I'm a dud, I'm unable to do these things, but I mean, it could be a female thing too, though. I mean, we are different beings, or able to tune into our powers different ways. So that was more of my experience. It was more memorable too because the reveal was done. Mm-hmm. And the history that's where the ghost story started before it transferred to Orillia, because I believe the Opera House is older. Don't quote me on that, but I might be wrong. But I do believe it's older, and that would make sense. And when she went to Rockport, it makes sense. That's near Kingston, and Kingston is one of the oldest areas in Canada too. So there's a lot of history there. So the location and age and those things are important too. Mm-hmm. Okay, so carrying on, Patricia said Sarah has validated a lot of people by reading them. She is better than she knows. That's nice. Good compliments.
Yeah.
And then, so Space Cadet, you're a new member. Thank you. Awesome. And then, Keeping Up with Spirits, you're here. That's you, Sarah. Hello. And she said, you all make me feel so comfortable. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome.
Oh, you're welcome. Awesome. Thanks for coming. I really appreciate your time.
Space Cadet says it takes two to understand each other and read each other so they know what to look for. I agree. And then, you have your sister here. Brianna May says, proud sister. Look at that. You are an amazing individual, Sarah. Look at that. All those compliments. All right. So, and then Patricia says, I have seen a big difference in Sarah during her journey. She is so much calmer and patient in her self-confidence and has been amazing, but also here. Oh,
absolutely.
Also am her
I
mom.
could sense that.
Okay. See, we didn't know it was your mom. You didn't have to say anything. We didn't know.
Oh,
so you got lots of support. So fun fact, Sarah did divulge to us before we started the show that this was her first time doing a podcast. So I mean, having all this other stuff and doing all these things, the kinks have been worked out. And happy that you had a good time and you got lots of support.
Yeah. Glad it was a good first experience for you, Sarah. I hope it's the first of many to come.
Lisa says, I like the pendulum. So let's talk about the pendulum. What you said you like that?
Yeah, that's probably one of my, I would say, methods of communicating with spirit that I put maybe the most power towards. Maybe not, but if I'm asking for a yes or no question, or I'm trying to validate a tarot interpretation or something to that effect, I will usually grab my pendulum, and I have several pendulums, but one in particular I have a really good connection with. So yeah, I have you everyone's, version of the pendulum, like what is a yes, what is a no, that can vary. It's not the same always.
Right.
So each pendulum I have operates different. So I connect with spirit, I connect with the tool, and I understand how it wants to communicate with me through spirit, etc.
Interesting. Now, Priscilla, she uses pendulums. I don't know if she really likes dowsing rods that much, but she does enjoy the pendulum, and I've seen her use it. I've seen this like show me yes and show me no, and see it freaking move in my eyes, and I'm all like looking at it, like how you doing that, doing all these things, and I see it, and I
Yeah, and you're
try it,
not moving.
I'm like, show me yes, and it doesn't do anything, and it's like,
My
so,
favorite thing
like,
too is for me when I use it,
yeah.
I'm offering my, like, I'm saying spirit, you can connect through
Mhm.
my energy through the pendulum essentially. I'm saying like use my energy for this connection. And then I can see my hand isn't moving. I keep my arm very steady, and I could see like the whole line shake
Mm.
and then begin to do its movement. And I joke around with spirit a lot, and I have like, show me a fuck yes answer, and it's like spinning like insane. Like it goes
Yeah, because
really.
like I even tried to mimic it to try to like just a small little movement, like you can see me do it, like even deliberately, and
Yeah,
it and
yeah.
it, and it won't. Like you to get it to like I don't even know if I have an example, like my headphones. Like I mean, like to
You
get it to
can use anything for a
like you could
pendulum.
clearly
Yeah.
tell that I'm way. This looks ridiculous. Someone's gonna make a GIF out of this later. But anyways, but you could totally tell that the movement is there, and I've seen that, and it's fascinating. But yet when I do it and think, I can't do it. So
Yeah.
there's like I'm a dud, or I just haven't really given into the. Well, we're still exploring. We got to teach me how to meditate. We're working on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I
You
think
know,
for you, it's an aspect of
yeah.
surrendering. You
Once, yeah.
can't
We're not there
somehow.
yet, but we're
You're
working on
not.
it. We're working on
We'll get you there.
that.
But yeah, absolutely. Pendulum is my favorite. And you can use anything for a pendulum. Literally, you can take your ring, place it on, a chain, and that's your pendulum.
Yeah,
And
Priscilla
any
said that
weighted
too. It
device.
doesn't have to be. It's kind of like whatever your choice is, you select it, right? So even try with a pocket watch. A little heavier at the bottom,
Hmm.
a Masonic one, because it's something that I selected, and it's okay. I'm going to try it and put that intent in. Still doesn't work,
Okay.
But I think it has to do with. It doesn't. It also has to do with how I'm feeling. So these experiences that I'm sharing with you are like pre Tessa, right?
Hmm.
Pre download and understanding, all these things that I can't ignore now, right? So I will have to go back and try these, and then hopefully with the academy, I'll be like, okay, we're talking about dowsing. This is what you're supposed to do, and then like this is how I would do it to rule it all out. So I'll
Hmm.
dabble into these things, but so Lisa says she has a portal in her closet. What do you think
Yes.
about that? Portals in
Um,
closets.
well, I think there's a lot of energy in doorways, period. Like, I don't know where in your closet there's a portal. Mirrors can be portals. This screen I'm looking at can be a portal. You can create an energetic portal yourself. I don't know what kind of portal she's referring to, but I can assume from what I know of Lisa that it's likely interdimensional by nature.
There are a
Um,
lot of accounts where closets seem to be where beings will enter and leave. Like it just seems to be an area of where they come in.
well, there's a reason we often say, we have a fear of the closet in childhood and of the dark in general. The closet's a dark place, you know what I mean?
Hmm. Hmm.
There's reasons for that. The shadows are where spirit like to dwell.
I almost wonder if it's kind of rooted in like the history of the land. So like the closet's there, but then when the house was built, was the closet always there, or was there land there? Like all these things. It seems to be doorways and portals. Like I mean, like it's chicken before the egg kind of type deal. But
Yeah, like trying to understand your train of thought
like
there.
it's strange, because then it's like, does the person on the other side be like, okay, I'm going to go visit Lisa today, and all right, we ready? Perfect. Let's go to her closet, because that's where they decide to go. And why the closet? Why not? Okay, because there's other doors in the house, and why that closet? And do they know that when they're traveling, or is it completely random, or is there some energy that exists there, like a ley line or something like that is just coincidentally happens to be where this closet is?
Who knows? It could simply be, that's a habit that's been, created. They're like, Lisa knows we're coming to the closet. She'll expect us in the closet, so let's go to the closet.
So they're organized. We want her to see us. Yeah, I gotcha. Well, that makes sense. All right. So Dave says both explanations are correct. Thanks, guys. Perfect. Glad you're still here. Space Cadet, you said, I have had physical touching that actually scared the crap out of me quite a bit. One time they did, it woke me up, and I said, leave me alone. I never thought about me being a medium.
I think maybe it was a typo, me being a medium. Yeah.
Well, you could be.
Meaning.
Physical touching that actually scared the so the scaring part would be fear, because you're not sure what's going on. You're not experienced, because it's not like what's going on. There's what you think it is, what you're believing it to be. There's a lot of factors to consider at that time. And if it woke you up, it startled you, well, then you were in a dream state. So we don't know if you were having in between layers of consciousness or REM sleep and things like that. And maybe you had a dream and it woke you up. So there's a lot of things to consider. So the best way, if you go to tessacan.org/the reporting system, make a report. It'll ask you a bunch of questions that'll kind of layer that all out. I'll be able to go through it and deep dive with you and figure out where you fit in all of this other stuff. The way I kind of broke Sarah down in this live on the spot is kind of how I do it with the experiencers here. But I'd like to get those in reports, so that way we can document it and fact check and verify that for future events too, to compare events, because not every experience is the same, and just as it's different for every person in every location, it's very possible, even if you look at your experiences, you have different types of experiences, but there's many different factors, and there's many different places and locations where all these things happen. So we're trying to matrix and figure out what's in common with all these other things, and then what do you have in common with everybody else. So it's really complex, but I got a system that figures it out. It's called an ultra spectrum classification report. So make a report, and I'll be able to help you with that. Fun fact too, Sarah, we have what's called Project Babel, which is the same thing, whereas you as an investigator who has already captured evidence, you could report to us as well, and we'll review it and make sure that you didn't miss anything, and give you some encouragement how to make that evidence better, and all these other things too. And if we get to a point where we both don't know what it is, then we can put it on our website and promote you through that, and all these other things too, which we'll leave at to explain.
It gets added to our visual evidence database, which is a map image of where we can
put Orillia on the map. Let me see here. Patricia said 1830 Rockport was founded. All right, she's an old one.
That's the Orillia one, or
the one near Kingston, the one she was talking about, the church one.
Okay, yeah.
The resort. So Sarah says it certainly was fun. It was nice to bring up stories. Great. And then here's one. What about Bigfoot? Does he travel through portals? Just had to ask. If Alex was here, he would freak out, because he doesn't believe that Alex doesn't believe that Bigfoot is extraterrestrial or paranormal. He believes that Bigfoot is an actual species here on Earth from apes. But I always challenge him on that. So that I think is the equivalent of talking about the Earth being flat. I think that would make Alex just as angry. I think Alex would laugh at the flat Earth stuff, but this makes him angry because he's an anthropologist, right? So he's
a zoologist
and all other things too, right? So, but on the subject of Bigfoot and portals, that there are sightings where they see, Bigfoot tracks and then they disappear, and then there's UFOs, and then there's other things. There are accounts where these ape-like beings or whatever they are, if it's in fact the Bigfoot phenomenon that's associated with portals, why not? Right?
Honestly, I say why not too, because otherwise we would have probably found one by now. We have,
Yeah. They would
like you
have to
said.
be interdimensional. They're gone. People see them and then they're gone. Where are they going? Right? So if you go back to ancient Sumerian times, there's a story of called the Epic of Gilgamesh, which is King Gilgamesh and Enkidu, and Enkidu is essentially Bigfoot, and it was created by Enki, who gave Gilgamesh a companion, and that companion was this ape-like man that Gilgamesh fought. And then later on he had died, but that was essentially the origin story of this Bigfoot. But then Alex says that it's like I forget what it is, the Maltese or something like that. Alex, if you ever watched this show, I don't even know. Please, forgive me. I'm not the expert. You need to come back and maybe.
Oh my goodness, this is
maybe.
so weird.
Yeah, it's so funny.
He's actually coming back next week.
What? Oh, for the birthday thing?
Yeah, he's on your birthday thing.
Okay. All right. We'll talk about that soon. Could be. What do we got here? Dave says the closet also confines space. Yeah. No. Like it's weird. It's just again, I always try to rationalize and imagine what would I do?
Confined space. I like that.
If I had an option and if I knew if I didn't know where I was going and that's where I ended up, then fine. Okay. Oh, another closet again. That's strange.
Oh,
right?
he said safe space. It's not space.
Yeah.
I was thinking of it as a space within a space, and I'm like, I actually kind of
Yeah, I get it. So then Sarah said could be sleep analysis. I think you mean sleep paralysis. And yeah, that is an interesting phenomenon as well.
Yeah, as our night terrors or anything like that, or sleepwalking.
We don't even know where we go when we dream. So like it's like, is this the simulation and then we go to sleep and then we're in the real world and we don't see it, we get MIB'd and then we come back, like it's where are we getting this information
I try not to think about it too much, because that's every time I try and think about it too much, I always get told by spirit, you don't need to know. Why do you need to know? It's just gonna mess you up. You don't need to know.
Lisa says, I have an entity that has a certain scent in my home. What scent would that be?
Oh, that's interesting. Well, a lot of people say spirit too, like, of a loved one who smoked cigarettes. You could get a smell of their perfume or cigarettes or something that's associated with them. A lot of mediums do say too that, you can get a taste of, someone's cooking, for instance, or, an apple pie, and that reminds you of that individual. So spirit speaks to us in a lot of different ways, and certainly our senses is a big one.
I think roses and cigars seem to be common smells, but I'm not even quite sure that they're accurate, because there's a lot of these trends and stuff, and like I'm curious to know where she gets her research from, because the stuff on the internet and all these other things that we could draw from, because that's the only thing that's there. They're pulling from movies, they're pulling from other things, they're pulling from other researches. Like there's like
the internet's not the best source for
it. But it's the only source we kind of got for this stuff, because that's where
there's tons of books, like the book I gave away with the mystery box for Experiencer Day. I almost just called it E-Day, but Experiencer Day, E-Day. That was of one of the oldest known mediums ever, and she basically brought out ectoplasm as a thing.
Oh yeah, I think I remember that. Yeah. Cheesecloth.
Blavatsky, right? What?
Cheesecloth.
Sure. Yeah. It was a hoax, but there was a lot of other things in there that were certainly valid and are still taught today in various ways. I know from my witchcraft practices and stuff, the internet is not the place. That's not the source. That's not where you go. It's learning from each other. And I think that's what's being lost in this time period.
Personal truths too, right? Like what's good for you and what you believe, what you accept, and as long as it's not harmful to you or your neighbors and all these other things too, right? So where are we going here? What did you say? I had to ask. I watch a lot of mountain monsters. That's okay. Legit. You're fine. You're here in the chat. Space Cadet, you changed your photo. Nice to see you. I'm okay writing. I'm better at audio recording, ADD. Well, yeah, you know, writing is good to put it down because it gets it out. I can relate. I might have that too. Maybe the ADHD, but all those other things. But I mean,
you could always do both.
You
could always do both. Yeah, do the audio recording, copy paste into the reporting system.
You speak into a phone and that translates it, and then copy it and put it in the thing. Exactly, that could work, right? There's some ways that we can do it. We'll figure it out. Leanne and Corey, hello, good to see us. Long day. Corey's might be famous. He's my security manager for Blacklight, and allegedly he was on the news, which we haven't seen for the Pearl Mist. We were guarding the Pearl Mist today, and then and then Leanne has a problem with doors since she's there. I'll just mention that. That's an inside joke, so maybe she knows closets. But if she's watching, if you guys are watching, have a laugh. Good to see you. And so they're my Blacklight team, so they're making sure that everything is running. So thank you guys for being here. I'm assuming everything is good. You guys are chilling in here. I really hope the business is running smoothly because I'm concerned if it's not. But but I hope everything's good. Thank you. And Dave, you said Ryan Musgrave Evans says that when a portal opens, there can be sulfur from the energy.
Okay,
is his name Ryan Musgrave Evans, or did you forget
threw
a
me
comment?
because I thought he was talking about you and called you a different name, like as a nickname. But
I thought you were calling me that too. What?
I thought it was
so
Musgrave.
a portal opens, then there can be sulfur from the energies. So residual evidence, things that are left behind. So it's Corey. Okay, so Corey's at the wheel, and Leanne is laughing. Good. I'm curious to know, the need to have both of you on this. You guys don't have an individual accounts?
Hey, no. Lots of couples do this, and I'm all for it.
I'm just joking. With you guys.
Yeah, the sulfur thing too. A lot of folks link that to the demonic or to the lower vibrational entities as well. But I've never experienced a sulfur smell from anything, so other than lighting matches.
Yeah, I like the smell of sulfur.
Me too, a little bit, excess is bad.
Lisa says, I see you have a show for your birthday coming up, Ryan. So everyone sees this. I saw it a little bit when I set the show up for Priscilla, and then I came upstairs, and I thought I saw Alex, and I think I saw Dave on there, right? I think I recognized that face. And then there was two logos I'm trying to visualize real quick. No, it was John, right? And
John
UFO Man. And UFO Man. Are they those just those four? Is there more? Like what else is going on?
Those four. I didn't want to overwhelm you too much there, and I thought that was a good group of.
No, I'm excited because I haven't taled. That's funny because I'm talking about Alex and all this.
I know it was weirding me out.
Yeah. So now the cat's out of the bag. So next week it will be my birthday episode, which we kind of did the last few years because my birthday kind of fell on a Thursday. But we're doing the Butter Tart Festival the following weekend. So Cece took it amongst herself to obviously plan a birthday roundtable. And so do I get to sign in? Like, can I just sign in like without knowing who's in the background? Can I, or like, how's this going down? Do I have to do this for my own show? Like a birthday show? Like what's the plan?
So I'm working out some details here, but I kind of just want it to be a really just like a discussion with you amongst your friends, peers, whatever, about things. I was considering just doing a shit ton of icebreaker type questions that'll just get you guys
Oh,
all
that'll be
fired up.
fun. That'll be fun. So send me the link, right? Pretend I'm a guest. Send me the link, and then I'll sign up, and then everything will be a surprise.
Okay.
And then I think that'll be good. I think that'd be fun. I'm actually surprised I have people that want to hang out. So that's cool. People do like me. Aw.
Yeah, I told you.
So thank you.
Except
Well,
not Lou Elizondo. You know,
Maybe, but wait, there's who knows? Hey, UFO man could get them. Maybe. Who knows? Who knows?
I didn't want to, I don't have that kind of relationship with him, at least not yet. So, I'm not pulling strings at all.
Yeah. Okay. So Dave said that is his full name. Perfect. Okay. Good clarification. That's not my new nickname. And then
Ryan Muskrat.
Yeah, thank you guys again for the opportunity. It was fun. I do have to get going. Yeah, no, peace. Thank you.
All
We're
right.
gonna wrap it up soon, anyways. And we'll see you soon. And would you say your birthday is next Saturday? Well, happy birthday. And go from there next Saturday. Well, my birthday's next Friday. So
That's so funny.
there you go. Another Gemini. Geminis are taking over the world. All right. So Space Cadet, thank you. And what's a great idea? What's a great idea? I don't like giving you guys great ideas. What's good? All right, so we made it to the end. So what else do we have to talk about? Anybody else have any questions? Any comments? That one was kind of fun. Next week's going to be the birthday bash. We got the
Butter Festival.
David's podcast at the end of the month, which I really hope still happens. And then the Butter Tart Festival, right? Next weekend.
Yeah. So
we're gonna have 2 booths where you'll be able to see Blacklight, and you'll be able to see Tessa, and you'll be able to meet Cece, and then you'll be able to meet me, and then and Corey and Leanne. They're all going to be there. We're all going to be protecting 50,000 people from stealing butter tarts. And then we'll talk.
I really hope there's good butter tarts there.
I love butter tarts. It'd be good.
Me too.
Yeah, good things and other things like that too. Now in real time, I was kind of dealing with this. We might have a problem. I got the tents today,
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't send the toppers, so we got tents without canopies.
That's not a tent then; it's just poles.
No, I know. So I made a complaint. We got 24 hours. We're supposed to get a response, and I'm hoping they're going to fix it. Otherwise, we're going to be standing there in the middle. With just tables and no tents. So hopefully.
Okay.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
I'm just trying to think of solutions. I'm solution driven. That's what I do immediately.
Well, we'll just have to buy a regular tent, and then it just won't look cool. So that's all.
It was so cool.
Yeah,
no, so if anybody's in the area, come see us at the Butter Tarts Festival. We have a lot of cool things on the go.
In Midland, Ontario. Let me see if I can find any marketing on it.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea. I know that there's, a few businesses that are going for sure.
I'll share my screen here. And then, so this is.
And I'm really looking forward to meeting Leanne and Corey and some of your team, and Priscilla and you in person, for instance.
And Michael.
And Michael.
Michael's coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was just today. That was some good news. That was good.
Yeah. All right, so here's the Butter Tart Festival. So we'll show what you guys are.
And this is an annual event in the region, so
that is correct. Why is it not opening?
So I told my mother about the Butter Tart Festival, and she just had the weirdest reaction. She said, "Isn't that a man-made thing?" And I just paused. I said, "What do you mean by that?" As opposed to a natural thing. She goes, "Yeah, well," and then she caught herself and she goes, "I guess I'm going to like a hamburger festival. That's also a man-made thing." I said, "Literally all festivals are based around men."
All right, well, this kind of, yeah, I guess so. It kind of sucks. The website's down. It's not working.
It's not?
No, it's not working. But anyways, maybe I can show you. Let me show you. I can show you this.
At least on a map where it would be located, maybe. And
well, yeah, I have a map. Just let me make sure it's okay to share. Yeah,
Good night, Karen.
Night, Karen. So this is our security map. So this is kind of what we use to plan where we're putting our guards and stuff like that. So this is where it is, downtown Midland. Our security tent's gonna be right down here, right by the library, Midland Library.
Oh wow, it's like the whole street.
Yeah, and then we gotta take care of up all down here and work our way all the way back here. And there's a whole bunch of things. There's gonna be all these little tiny squares are all the butter tarts, vendor tables and all that other stuff. And so we're gonna be responsible for taking care of all
like
that
a
stuff.
whole food truck section.
Yeah, we got vendors all the way up here. There's gonna be a whole bunch of stuff. And Corey and I will be walking up and down the street all damn day long to make sure that no one has any diabetic comas from eating too many butter tarts. But it's needed to keep people safe. Never know.
You never know.
We gotta do first aid too in case people choke. Eating too many. There's a need for us. And we'll be introducing Tessa to our local community, which is so this is in Midland, Ontario. This is a huge thing because a lot of people know what Blacklight is. They understand that what we do for 7 years. So Blacklight will also be 7 years old. And then we're introducing our new business, which is the Experiencers Support Association. Now they're not, so Tessa International Media. So it's going to be interesting because Cece's going to kind of be like, oh, this is a new company? And then we see how many people put the dots together. And then, so cat's out of the bag, Ryan's lost it, but, hopefully things are good. And then we'll go from there. And then what do we got here? I'm already sweating. Yeah, no, it's going to be a hot day, Corey. It's going to be hot.
Get your walking steps in there.
Don't give up. We will have the toppers. I hope so. I really hope so because I will not be happy. UFO Man did have Lou Elizondo on the show. I know everyone who had Lou Elizondo on the show. I know. He's a chicken shit. He won't come on to my show, and I know that, and I can confirm that he got my emails. But at the same time, why would you want to go somewhere where you think that you're going to be attacked? I'm not going to attack
absolutely.
I'm just going to ask him questions that are hard that need to be answered. So I'll be nice about it.
Yeah.
I'll ask him politely. Do you have any evidence to prove that what you said you did? Oh, okay, you don't? Okay, so you mean nothing. Perfect. Carry on. Right? Anything else you want to share? Because we still got an hour and 55 minutes to kill.
The private investigator thing, I think.
So here's the thing. Okay, with it's and especially with the private investigating stuff. You investigate privately when you get a lead. You get tasked to do all these things, and then you get information, public information, which can be shared. And then you also have access to private information, but you can't reveal that unless it's through a court system and all these other things and all these others, unless there's grounds. So you can release private. If you release private information, it's illegal. But you can still get it to use it to fill the case, to build a case, to present something later on and deal with that in the court, which is done privately.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you follow me with that?
Yes.
So I know things that I can't say, and there's things that I can't display, but it can be proven. So the only way to bring that out is if he sits on the chair and I ask him specific questions in a certain way that he says it himself. Yes. And then I don't have to say it. Which is probably
he likely knows it, yeah.
He likely knows it, so he's not a chicken shit. I take that back. He's a smart guy, and he's probably doing the best thing for him. But it drives me crazy because I know things. But at the same time, he's no different than the rest of us trying to make a difference. He's doing a cause. Exactly. The issue that I have is that the title that he claims and all these things aren't true, and I can prove that if you want me to prove it, but I would need your permission to prove it, Mr. Elizondo. So until then, I stand strong on my belief that I know what's freaking up, and the hell with you.
Yeah.
So carry on. So, for those of you who don't know who he is, he's this, counterintelligence CIA guy. I probably shouldn't talk like that, but whatever. If Men in Black are real, I'll know.
Oh, I thought there was a comment. I'm like, I don't see a comment about Men in Black.
No,
if Men in Black are real, you'll know.
So Cece, they can't wait to see us. Well, awesome, great. Good night, everyone. Good night, Karen. And then everyone just giggles and blah, blah, blah. So we're near the end here. We got 8 people here. Anybody else have any questions? The website.
Did we get an update?
Well, I learned how to use the new stuff. So
Yeah, I know that.
so the frustrations that I was sharing was actually come from me not using the right buttons. So I got a lesson this morning
Okay.
to where the buttons were, but the buttons were there. So it's not my fault entirely. It just didn't tell me where the other buttons were. So now I know where the buttons are on the website. I can still input the data, which we'll be doing over the weekend. We are testing it live over the weekend. I've seen it on mobile. I've seen it on tablet. So he showed me how to do that. Hopefully we'll work out a few kinks throughout the week. Next week, maybe launch it middle of the week so you guys can see it. But then we need it ready for Butter Tart Festival next week. So and then you're gonna get a ton of new posts. We're gonna get our podcast. Everything else is going to be like all over the place because we got to redo the links. We got to redo our commercials. We got to redo all these other things. So as soon as the website is up, boom, we're going to be super, super busy. But not until after the Butter Tart Festival because we're going to relax the following day and chill and maybe take Monday off. That sounds good. Like Monday off.
I'll be driving Monday, so
we'll figure that out. I think Corey, Leanne, what do you think? Take Monday off? Yeah, make sure staff are working though. We make sure we're good. Okay, so where are we at here? Have a say truth.
Space Cadet said something new here.
I've been talking to myself saying, what do I really need to do meditating, investigative photography? Is this a real? So I've been talking to myself saying, what do I really need to do meditating, investigative photography? Is this a real?
I'm not sure what you mean by that. Space Cadet, you might need to elaborate a bit. Are you referring to like you're reflecting through meditation on investigative photography?
Yeah, if you could just rephrase that so I can understand it, and then we can address that. Sorry about that. Lisa says, Ryan, you're better than Lou Elizondo. It's not about being. I appreciate your opinion, but I mean, there's things. Okay, it's not about who's good and who's bad and who's better. I'm in a different department doing different things for the same reason to make sure that the information can be trusted. But him as an individual has also done a lot of great things to help the movement. There are positives with it. My frustration with the guy it is not really his fault. It's our fault because we made him famous over nothing. So it's tough. But I mean, at the same time, because that happened, we're now talking about it in ufology. So like there's a cause and effect.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of positives with this guy. And it's quite possible that he does know these things. He's just not sharing these things. But I mean, there's depends on what side we're on. And I agree with him and I disagree with him. It's not good for the people because he's not giving us what we need. If he has a non-disclosure agreement, then whatever. If he has the information, he can't prove it. He's no different than anyone else.
Yeah.
If people believe it, well, then, that's no different than believing in a God and all these other things. We can't turn them off to it. A lot of people want it because there's hope and there's fear, and he's fueling off of that, which it could still be a real thing. He's innocent until proven guilty, right? And the things that I know and the things that I understand will not take away from the stuff that he's done. All it will simply do is emphasize why he's not important, right? He did a part, as have I, as have others, out of many people. Everybody does their part, but he's being idolized as this Messiah, if you will, in ufology, and what it does is it creates people attacking other people. There's violence, there's bullying, there's depression, there's PTSD, there's so many negative things that happen as a result of him making claims that cannot be proven. But then it's also his belief, it's his testimony, it's his experience, which is his right. But there's a lot of holes. So there's the motive and all these other things too. So another reason why I want to have him in the chair, so I can get a good feel from him and be like, okay, tell me that. Tell me stuff that I didn't know, stuff that I missed, stuff that I didn't watch. Maybe that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, why would he want to come onto this show, right? But yet he
Yeah.
goes on other shows that are really small and some are big, like UFO Man's got a large following, so there are benefits to doing that. But he's not on radio, he's not on George Norrie, he's not on all these big things. Think about that. Why isn't he on Coast to Coast? Why isn't he? Why isn't he?
I'm not
There's
going to attempt to
yeah.
get into somebody else's mindset, but all I can say is what I see is really problematic is there's a deceitful aspect to Lou Elizondo that I think we can all kind of see.
But then
But
it's
some of us are like it's a veil of truth to it, as always with anything, and some people are leaning towards one direction, others towards some down the middle line with Lou.
mhm,
And so it's not like everyone who's following him is following him because they absolutely adore him and perceive him as the Messiah. Some are genuinely following him to bully him as well. So we have to take into
yeah.
consideration like what he's going through. And as anybody who's got any sort of celebrity around them,
And there's
they're gonna have that.
and that could be why he's not doing it anymore too, because you got to think of the human being, the person behind it all. It's stressful. This isn't easy. This isn't hard, and to be attacked for your work and all these other things too. There's just it's just to clear the air to make sure that everything is right. But then at the same time, he doesn't have to justify himself.
Hmm.
Right. So stepping away is kind of good in the sense that, okay, I've done my part. I'm standing back. Who cares? Right. It doesn't fill his cup anymore, but yet, but it's been peaceful. People are still arguing about other things and other things are moving.
Yeah, but it's not so much, you this, you that, you people are this wrong, that wrong, everything.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It just
There's
became,
there's
it became a cult.
I agree.
Right.
I think Space Cadet clarified his question a little bit here. I think he's saying he was talking about paranormal and ufology. So, what to do? I really need to do meditating. So, investigative photography. So, are you wondering if you could take pictures of aliens and UFOs essentially as a career? Because he's saying at the end, actual career.
Oh, I see. Well, we'll define career. If it's what I do isn't necessarily a career in a sense. It's an extension of the job I do every day. Just a different subject that happens to be more entertaining than cheating husbands and wives and child custody and all these other things that I have to investigate. So it becomes a hobby first, and then if it becomes a job, then it might not be fun anymore. But but for you to do anything in a career, that depends on how often you need to do it and how much you're able to get out of it and enjoy it. A lot of people, the dream job to do this for a career would be amazing. So it is possible. It just all depends on, you have to define what it is that you want to do and how you want to fit and what would define that to be a job for you. I hope I'm answering that right. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. It's kind of difficult and challenging to answer that without knowing somebody more deeply too.
Ryan is at the top. I don't want to be. I might be in the top in your books. I appreciate that, but you need to explore and learn others. There's a lot of other smart people out there that know more than I do. But if I'm the only person that you're aware of, please expand your horizons because I'm probably wrong with some things. But I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, you're so humble too.
Well,
Yeah. What's that blinking light in the background from Leanne and Corey?
What blinking light in the back? Oh, my clock.
Yeah, I think so. Is that what it is? It's a clock?
Yeah, it's a clock. The battery's dying or something like that. It'll change colors. This week it's red. I don't know. It's got a mind of its own.
Seriously, it's not supposed to change colors?
Well, not without me hitting the button.
Oh.
The battery's dying. It does that when the battery dies. It's happened before. The battery is dying. It's not paranormal. It's been tested. All right. Okay, what are we going on here? Being an experiencer is not easy either. Yeah, like I do, and even with Rutowski, like the frustration with these individuals is that when they get to this place of power and they're on the top, I feel like they forget how they got there. And it's people like us that are talking about them and doing all these other things um, that
I don't know. I feel like Rutowski's a little bit like you can't. I don't think you can put Rutowski and Lou Elizondo in the same category
no,
because
because he's not for Elizondo either. So
no, and Elizondo sort of just came out of nowhere and was at the top. Like, he's got the backing of To the Stars Academy and like
it
all
was yeah,
these
it was planted.
people.
And then if he's doing the job, he did the job well. He did it. Now he's out and blah blah blah, and he's paid for it,
Hmm.
doing all these other things
But
too. It's
Chris,
just
he built something, and
and
he did the best he could with what he had, I
and
think.
he's having a hard time getting recognition for
Absolutely.
what he is. And a lot of things are moving forward due to his work and things like that too. But I mean, that is someone I'd like to reconcile. But I mean, who knows? One day,
Yeah.
but maybe for my birthday, give me Chris instead of Lou.
You know what? I actually considered attempting, but all my attempts in the past have failed, so I wasn't thinking the birthday episode was the best one for that, but maybe one day that would be nice. Leanne says, change your battery. It made me chuckle. That's why I was laughing there.
Change my battery. Okay, you know what? Hey, Leanne, I will add that to Mondays, and then you can change it when you're here.
Add it to Mondays. And absolutely, Lisa, it is challenging coming out as an experiencer and seeing how experiencers get treated, especially on some place like UFO Twitter. Even Anjali's story, as much as I say she did a disservice to experiencers, I do dislike tremendously how she was treated and is treated, and no one should have to go through that when they come out with a traumatic event or story.
Yeah, and that's why we really need more support. And then so professional support. We need resources into the mental health. We need more mental health resources coming out of the woodworks too, and talking about and associating paranormal, and be willing to talk to experiencers and believe them a little bit and put them in a category that's like, okay, you know what, you're not crazy,
Yeah.
but you're completely sane by all these other measurements that we have here. So, but we need to take a further dive into this to find out why
Hmm.
you're able to do this. And
Right. I
then
tried
we
to
have,
get Anjali on this show because I was
hmm
saying we're the Experiencer Support Association. We're not going to rip
hmm
you apart. We just want to have a
hmm
candid discussion. But that's part of the reason, I find benefit in reporting because it's not just me saying my story at this point. It's me saying my story plus I've had it investigated. I've had someone else take a look at it. I've had someone poke holes in it and tell me, this is likely explainable or this may be paranormal indeed.
hmm
Just that alone is helpful because it's not just you out in the wolves or
hmm
the sharks of TikTok or wherever you are social media wise, defending yourself alone and having to deal with the mental anguish of firstly expressing your story in a public manner and trying to bring awareness to a topic, but also defending yourself through it all.
Okay. Corey, they have to leave to watch the news. So if Corey's on the news, then he's got to watch it. Of course he does. So if you do record it, if you're there, picture it didn't happen. Yeah.
If
Well,
it's like
I guess yeah. So he said the news was there while he was guarding the ship, so he, might be on it. I've been in situations like that too. It's like, hey,
yeah, same
there's the news.
thing.
I'm just gonna walk through and be in the background, like everybody does it, right? Because it's marketing, right? So it'd be good. It'd be good if you got on there. Let me know. I think we're at the end there, having too
I
much
did too.
fun. I'll kind of close off and reiterate, so that way for the entire record, for those who might take clips of this and whatever, that I do not have any ill feelings towards any of the people that I question. Having anyone on my show shouldn't be afraid of me. Just understand the type of way that I think and the questions that I have. And if you are able to explain it, or you're able to take that criticism, I'm not going to put you down. We need to work through that. And I have a way of challenging your thoughts, and to make sure, and it's not me who's judging, it's the audience that's judging. So being it's the host is sometimes what people watch shows for. Not necessarily the guest. It's the person that's interviewing them, because they interview certain ways. I'll give you an example. I don't watch Dave Scott and Spaced Out Radio too often anymore, because a lot of his shows are long, and it keeps going on and on about some things. But I did watch the interview with Larry McGuire yesterday, and I thought his questioning was great. So we didn't get much from the politician other than that, getting the awareness out. But he asked good questions. He asked it hard, and he was the right guy to ask the right questions, and he did a lot of work. So sometimes it's not so much. Again, it's not the guest; it's the host too. And to have Lou and to Chris in the chair wouldn't be to attack them. It would be just to figure out if I'm right in my theory. How do I feel about it? Can we have a conversation? Because you can get that understanding, because we don't have that one-on-one conversation, and then opportunity to be like, you know what, I made a mistake. All these other things, blah blah blah, and things like that, and then you can work things out. So all in all, this game that I've been kind of saying, I'm phasing away from that, because cases are closed, everything's been is out and about. But I do have some hard questions that I like to ask in different ways that I think that some people don't ask. And there's a way to ask it, and then you can ask it certain ways that would almost give you a truth in a different way if you do what's called a statement analysis after the fact. And the reason why it's very important for me to do that with my want for those two people is because that's the highest person that may have information in America, and the highest person that may have information in Canada. And so I, as for me to understand the totality of what's real and what's not real, what's bullshit and not bullshit, I need to have a conversation with these two so I can know whether or not to properly endorse or trust that. Because a lot of you people think that I, like, as this guy says, thinks I'm the guy at the top. That's a lot of pressure, because especially if I'm wrong. So, I'd like to be able to have that reading with these people, but at the same time, I don't need to have it. I'm not entitled to have that. It's choice. It's not the end of the world, but I'd like to know why I don't feel good about them, because I can also trust them like the other ones. But because I don't trust what they're doing and what these things that are going on, it's tough, because I really don't know. I really don't believe it. And then that's me, right?
Yeah. No, I think that's well put. You're more or less saying there's these people who may have information that I don't have, and they're also the most secretive.
And there's other
and
people that challenge and
gatekeeping.
fight it. And I agree with the people that comment and bitch and complain about it too. But then at least I think if I had the opportunity, I might be able to even it out and be like, okay, we can accept this, we cannot accept this. That makes sense. You're human, all these other things, and move on. And then we can kind of, and do that. I kind of want to do that. But at the same time, we got lots of shit to do. We need to move on. But at the same time, like, I don't want to piss these people off to not be able to use them. But they're not. There's no need for us either. So either we are doing something completely different off the cuff in the direction that they're heading. We're way off the mark.
Yeah.
Or they're way off the mark, and it doesn't really matter. We're in the same industry, but we're not attacking it from the same angle. And we're doing different approaches, so we need to understand that too.
Yes, I think that's it. We're possibly doing a little bit different. It'd be nice to collaborate more. I don't know if use people is the right word. And just harping
Well,
on.
I do review Rutowski's work. I did purchase his new book. I as much as I question, I do read his stuff to learn from him too. I did learn a lot from it. It's just the personality And the ego kind of gets in the way because he's worked hard to get to where he's gotten, and he's not getting the recognition he believes that he deserves.
Fair, yeah.
And I can understand that,
Mm-hmm.
especially being in a place that I am. So it's not a fight it's not jealousy, it's not a fight, it's not a competition, things like that. It's relatable. And I feel like Chris could be a really good asset to the Experiencers Support Association if we could somehow get through that personality. But at the same time, it's kind of my fault because I put fire under his ass to expose him keeping secrets from us. Now that got released and that's out. So do I blame the guy to have a little bit of animosity towards me, and things like that? So I understand that. And it's unfortunate, but I hope over time, indirectly, we can work together. Same thing with Elizondo. Why would he want to talk to me? Because I exposed, information that he thought was locked up and couldn't, but it's on public record. And I created a problem for him, and he needs to blame me, but it's the truth. Put it out there so people could deal with it, right? I'm the guy that everyone loves to hate, but looks like there's 4 people coming next week that love me, so I guess I'm not hated. So it's good.
Alrighty, well, yeah, so I hope everyone will join us next week for Ryan's special birthday episode. It's going to be a panel. It's not just going to be a one-on-one interview, and it'll be just a really great discussion, so hope to see you there.
And there's going to be random questions that we all have to answer. That'll be fun.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what I was leaning towards doing. I don't want you to have to really work at this or whatever. Trying,
all right. Well, have fun. Thank you for doing that.
No worries.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Keep your eyes in the sky and heed the world and go to bed. Bye-bye.
Good night.